football. Yes, sir, baby. Back on your tube tonight. Friday, Saturday, Eagles and Ravens. How you doing, man? It's great to get the NFL back. And I love the fact that football reigns supreme. There's nothing that will knock the NFL off the front page. Maybe LeBron going to the Sixers for about what? A cup of coffee? Other than that, the National Football League owns the news cycle. They own it. And they will always own it. College football, too, by the way. That starts up in like 16 days. We're like almost within 2 weeks of college football. Great stuff. And here we are. By the way, let me take a gander at this. Oh, yeah, Super Chats go to the top. And please do me a favor. We appreciate all of you. Hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the show. Thank you very much, CZ. We appreciate it. So let me go over to the Philadelphia Eagles X account. Let me see where we are. Oh, there's the interception. The famed interception. 16.2 million people have watched Jalen Hurts throw a pick. Do I think it's classic? Yes, I do. Do I think it's meaningless? Yes, I do. Do I think it's hilarious? Yes, I do. Do I think it shows why everyone wants to validate themselves? Look, the Eagles are even accentuating Jalen Hurts throwing a pick in training camp. Do I think the social media people with the Eagles did that? Of course not. They were trying to showcase Q. But in my business, sometimes things don't land where you want them to. And that's exactly what that was. You may make a topic, or you may make a statement, or you say anything like Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick thought he was talking about injustice in society until he was disrespecting the American flag, and that's where people landed on with it. Kaepernick may have been right in what he was talking about when it came to the injustices for minorities in America. But that's not where it landed. It landed on him disrespecting the United States flag. May not have been his intention. That's not the point. That's not the point. God bless. How did that disrespect the flag? That's exactly what I just said. Exactly what I just said. The only video that's funnier than Hurts' interception is when Steve Atwater knocked out Okoye. Love that video, by the way. Hey, you want another video? Watch Ed Reed knocking that punter out in the Pro Bowl. That's another video for you and your viewing delight. Go watch that one there, Kyle. It's hilarious. So that video's now at, and probably will get to around 18, 19 million people watching it. Why? Because people are on one side or the other when it comes to Jalen Hurts. And that's what makes the kid polarizing. He doesn't have the greatest style in the world. He's not the greatest pocket passer. The guy has a great resume, and you can't figure a guy like that out. Actually, what it actually has done, it's put more eyeballs on him. At the end of the day, that video helps Hurts more than it hurts him, unless he stinks this year. It's going to be cut or dry. That's what that video shows. People are going to be right or wrong on him. I think it's beautiful. You're going to get clarity with that. 16.2 million people think, as of today, who have watched that video, are goofing on the guy. And then there's the other side that are the Jalenites that throw cover for him no matter what. And you know the new whipping boy is? Hollywood Brown. My God almighty, I've never seen a fan base use more excuses for a quarterback in my life than the Philadelphia Eagles. Now it's Hollywood Brown's fault that Hurts throws picks in practice. Really? Okay. Dude, Sean Mannion, as soon as that thing goes sideways or gets a little rocky in the beginning of the year, that guy's going to get his ass kicked at Lincoln Financial. He's going to get his ass kicked because you guys make excuses. Kings of it. No doubt. Me? Hey, I love it. It's content. I don't give a shit either way. I really don't. To me, it's content. 16.2 million people. Most of the people, I heard John McMullen's rant. Where are we going? Well, John, let me clue you in on something here, son. In today's world, this is what we do for a living. We watch what people want to see, and we comment on it. You can't just dismiss 16.2 million people and say, what are you doing? Well, they're interested in seeing what Hurts is going to do this year. That's what they're doing. It makes no sense. Yes, it does. This is the world we live in today. I hate the world we live in today. That's completely irrelevant when people say that. Completely irrelevant. This is where we are. And by the way, if I were people who worked in the newspaper industry or in the magazine industry, I'd be pissed off at social media too, because you know why? It's taking most of your jobs away. Radio's in shambles. Print media, newspapers are folding. I would hate it too. I would hate it too. Hey, by the way, everyone is watching this year. Everyone. And what that quarterback's going to do. Hey, listen, when you're sold on somebody, you buy it. Or when you're sold on something, you buy it. Even the Philadelphia Eagles aren't sold on him, or they would have given him his money. Plain and simple here. Hey, I'm sold on him. Here's your contract. Like I said, in 2022, when he came off the Super Bowl loss, the Eagles had no problem giving him $255 million in the offseason. They had no problem. Now they do. All right. And there is no plan in contracts. It's no plan. Stupidity. Hey, do I really think that the interception's a big deal in context? No. It's one of 1,000 passes in practice, right? But it matters to people who are trying to vindicate and validate themselves on what they see with that quarterback. Hey, get over it. This is where you are today. And you don't have to run and defend your girlfriend every single time. I even wrote a topic down to that. Why are so many Eagle fans so sensitive with Hurts? Is it race? Is it him being an Eagle? Is it him being a quarterback? Or is it all of the above? It's probably all of the above. That's why. Hey, that's polarizing. I love that. Don't tell me race don't play a part of it. Of course it does. His resume, of course it does. The team he plays on, of course it does. Hey, don't be afraid to hit topics that talk about why over 16 million people tuned in to see a guy throw a pick. And that's how they labeled it. Like I said, the social media people with the Eagles were trying to accentuate Quinyon Mitchell because Vic, the previous day, had said that he's still a virgin in the regular season on INTs. That's why he punted the ball. That's the context of that video. But that's not how it landed. And get this. You don't even really have to read any of this or any of these guys because, again, it's completely irrelevant what they're saying. 16 million people tuned on to watch Jalen Hurts throw a pick. You can justify it. You can massage it. You can make a narrative at it any way you want, Prince, Reyes, or any of these other guys. Bottom line, people watched it and drew their own conclusions. Whatever you say. By the way, that's going to be a topic also on my TV show this weekend. Do I think it really matters that he threw an interception in camp? Of course not. Okay? Of course not. Yeah, this is always great. I'm so dumb. This guy's here every freaking day. Thank you, dude. Keep up the good work, Prince. Guy's a tool. They tune in to see him fail. I'm sticking to that, and I normally don't comment, but it is what it is. Yes, there's people that tune in to see him succeed, and there's people that tune in to see him fail. Absolutely true. No question. CJ, I could care less either way. To me, Jalen Hurts is good content. Got nothing against the kid. I don't know him from a can of paint. I don't pretend to know people unless they come on my program or know about how they are behind the scenes. That's not for me. I don't really care. I'm not in love. I'll tell you a guy that I heard Darius Cooper today, and I like that dude. I like that dude, man. I will tell you. I like that dude. I see why people like that guy. I loved listening to him talk today. That was pretty good, man. He's good in front of a microphone, too. I like him. Yes, sir. Yes. Sills, I'd sell the shit out of the 16 million views. Our fans are so locked in, they watch everything. Raise the ad revenue. Hey, Bob, that's exactly right. These guys get butt over shit like this. It's quite comical. You don't think it's a big deal throwing an interception? In practice, why are you making a big deal out of it? I'm not. 16.2 million people did. National people are retweeting it out that the guy's throwing picks in practice is what I'm pointing out. Stop being sensitive. You're a moaner. I am. I'm talking about the biggest story about an interception that's been all over social media. My God, you will never get it. This is a gimmick when you're looking at things like that. That's a gimmick. Holy cow, no wonder wrestling fans and NFL fans are close and closely knit together. That is going to help Jalen Hurts. There you go. That is a great take. 16.2 million people proves Jalen is the face of the league. You could clearly make that point. Upset? I'm thrilled that got that much views. Upset. I'm upset over content. Hey, by the way, stop aiming your angst at me. Sills, here's the idiot Bob Lang will do next. When Jalen throws a TD, they'll post the crap out of it to overcompensate. Of course they will. He knows what he's doing. He's telling a story. You notice they didn't put up the interception he threw today? The circus called, they're running out of bread. 65 per coming up. That's why people are tuning in. Sills, assuming his audience is casual, looky-loos, and stirring up trouble again. Hot takes and hot cakes. Reyes from Fishtown on line 3. These people will never get what's going on. They don't get what moves the needle. People are looking at people that move the needle. No one would be talking about it if you didn't bring it up. You talk shit about it and cry when people defend it. If you can't take the heat, then stop with the takes. 16.2 million people watched it. And you think I'm not going to bring that up? Bro, David, stop being so freaking sensitive over your girlfriend. Hurts is going to take a pay cut, more likely unless he wins the Super Bowl or Hurts has an MVP season. They posted it for a reason. It's great marketing. Yeah. Sills, attend an Eagles game and knock Bob Lang out, please. This show will blow up. Hey, Bob Lang knows what he's doing. He's just a creep, but he knows what he's doing. He's the worst media guy in Philadelphia, and he's one of the worst media PR people in pro football, and everyone knows it. He was an asshole in San Francisco. Ask Ed DeBartolo. Hey, somebody next time ask Bob Lang what Ed DeBartolo thinks of him. That ought to be an interesting take. Hurts hate is real. Hurts love is real. The Hurts love is real also. You got to put it in both contexts with that comment. Both are real. You got people defending and you got people jeering. Yes. Yes. It's both real. Sills, thoughts on a Jomo versus Fred Johnson fights. Fought 3 plays in a row. A Jomo went for Fred's legs and day was over. Repeatedly, the biggest crap in camp in years. Howie talked to both on the field after. Howie did? What's a general manager talking to my players for? About getting into a fight. Holy cow. Okay? Let's see here. Sills. It shows me that Hurts is learning he's throwing to the middle. Q made a good play. Brown quit on the route. I'm hearing he may be cut. Of course you're hearing he may be cut because that's the new excuse angle for the fans. Seals, do you think the Eagles would have released that video 2 years ago? It seems like the Eagles shred Hurts back when he was in the Eagles' long-term plans. It feels different now. I don't think there was any intention of trying to hurt Jalen Hurts on that video whatsoever by the media people. It landed wrong. DFW. Half the NFL fan base thinks Hurts is as stiff as a passer. And they've got proof of it. The other half defends him. And that's what you got with that video. You're right. I do agree with that about the general manager stepping in. The coach should have full autonomy with that shit. I've never seen anything like that. A general manager comes over and talks to both players after they get into a fight when they're out there scrimmaging. What the hell is that? What would he know? Guy needs a Tokyo phone book to look both in the eye. Stick to GMing, guy. That's insane, man. I wonder what got Ajomo so worked up, but that's a terrible look. No, it's not. Going for a dude's legs. Fred's a pretty big guy. Ajomo must be a wrestler. All right. So, again, do I think that video helps or hurts Jalen Hurts? I think it's great for Jalen Hurts. Because if Hurts has a great year, that video will help him win the most valuable player award. And if Hurts sucks, he'll be out of town. That's what I like about it. That's a video of clarity. Some love him, some don't. Well, there's going to be no gray area. Okay? There's going to be no gray area. It is. It's great for Jalen. Dude, the video was meant for Quinyon Mitchell. Not for Jalen Hurts. But that's not how many people took it. Zander could pronounce land of sponsorship with Sherman Williams with now know him from a can of paint. How you doing? Sills, who are some of the bottom of the roster or second team guys you're going to be looking out at in the game on Saturday? Well, I'll tell you, flat out, I'm going to be looking in that defensive positions, especially in the secondary corner. Vic pointed out you're not very deep there. I want to see Ty Robinson make a play. I'd like to see that. I want to see if Eli Stowers gets some playing time. Markel Bell. I want to see Brian Young. Vic's going to play some guys. I can feel it already. I don't believe he's going to play, obviously, his superstar guys, but I wouldn't be shocked if Nolan Smith, who, by the way, is getting passed by Jalix Hunt in camp. He's completely getting passed. Sills, if I was in Buffalo right now and our quarterback only got 900K views, I'd be asking, where are our fans? What's wrong? Because nobody thinks Josh Allen sucks as a quarterback. I don't see Jalen Hurts working with Wicks after practice, so it's clear they aren't on the same page. He's working with Lemon and Brown to build chemistry. Or maybe those guys need more help with the offense. Why would he need to work with Wicks when Wicks knows more about the offense than Hurts? Especially since it's a Green Bay offense. Are you sure the Eagles weren't working in a Herbert playoff game play? No, just a regular season play. Sills, I heard Laurie got involved in the fight too alongside Howie. Was tag team. Nolan Smith reportedly still getting it done as a run blocker, though. Correct. Allen fans would see it as an anomaly. Right. Correct. So, let me go here. There's a pretty good little commentary brought up here. And I want to bring this up now. By the way, like I said, at the end of the day, that video is going to clearly, it is by far going to clearly define Jalen Hurts' year, because that shows you what people are looking, what they're looking at for this coming season. Clearly looking on what they're going to see this kid this year, whether or not he's going to get that offense. Tells you all you need to know. So, all right. Dan Orlovsky, ranking NFL quarterbacks by traits, best arm, accuracy, and more. And here, you're going to hear us talk about quarterbacks a lot in NFL Live. He does NFL Live for the upcoming 2026 season. And he does a pretty good job here at breaking down the traits of these quarterbacks. And he does a really good job. So here, and Orlovsky, I think, did a pretty nice job when it came to talking about what quarterbacks have the best arm strength, accuracy, and whatever. So here was arm strength. Josh Allen, number 1. Justin Herbert, 2. Caleb Williams, I was kind of shocked here, 3. Stafford, 4. Mahomes, 5. Baker Mayfield, 6. Drake May, 7. Joe Burrow, 8. Lamar Jackson, 9. And Dak Prescott, 10. I would say you could probably take those 10 guys and you could probably move them around to whatever you think. But those sound like the top 10 guys to me with arm strength. Let's go on now to another category. Ball placement, accuracy. Matthew Stafford, 1. Drake May, 2. That is right there why A.J. Brown wanted to go to New England. Is because he wanted an accurate quarterback. Right there. Drake May, 2. Sam Darnold, 3. Joe Burrow, 4. Jared Goff, 5. Jordan Love, 6. There could be the difference right there between the Eagle Green Bay offense and the Packer Green Bay offense. Who's the more accurate quarterback? Love. Josh Allen, 7. Lamar Jackson, 8. Brock Purdy, 9. And Dak Prescott, 10. Those are probably your 10 most accurate quarterbacks that you're looking at. So, ranks with the arm strength. Pretty much the same guys. Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Caleb Williams, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Drake May, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott. Arm strength. The accuracy, ball placement, Stafford, May, Darnold, Burrow, Goff, Love, Allen, Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy, and Dak. This is Dan Orlovsky over at ESPN. Dak's probably too low. Probably. Mechanics, footwork, reading of defenses, progression reading, checkdowns, auto-bullying at the line of scrimmage, smooth throwing motion, strong base, great footwork in the pocket. Stafford, 1. Burrow, 2. Daniel Jones, 3. I think that's crazy. Jared Goff, 4. Dak Prescott, 5. C.J. Stroud, I think that's crazy. 6. Caleb Williams, 7. Mechanics? Why is he at 55% if he's got good mechanics? I think Orlovsky's off his rocker with this list. Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. C.J. Stroud, his completion percentage was low. Caleb Williams is at 50%. I mean, and Daniel Jones has had 7 good games. Yeah, okay. Decision-making with the football. Allen, 1. Stafford, 2. Jordan Love, 3. Drake May, 4. Jaden Daniels. Dak Prescott at 6. Lamar Jackson at 7. Joe Burrow at 8. Mahomes at 9. Jalen Hurts at number 10. Decision-making with the football. Yeah, I agree with that. This guy would rather take a sack than have a turnover. He'll throw it out of bounds. Absolutely. Here's probably the most important you could possibly have, which is pocket presence. Drake Maye's number 1. Joe Burrow 2. Darnold 3. Herbert 4. Prescott 5. Lamar 6. Caleb Williams 7. Man, is he high on Caleb. Brock Purdy 8. Daniel Jones 9. And Trevor Lawrence 10. Second reaction ability. This is, again, going off script and making plays with your arm. And post-snap reads. Allen 1. Caleb Williams 2. Patrick Mahomes 3. Drake Maye is all over these. He's one of the most fundamentally sound quarterbacks in the league today. That's a true statement. Sam Darnold, Bo Nix, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield. Those are your quarterbacks and your traits. The pocket presence. Look at where Maye is. Maye's 1 on pocket presence. He's 4 on decision-making with the football. He is 2nd in ball placement. He's 7th in arm strength. That's why A.J. Brown went to New England. I'm with you. Okay? Get this. We're talking about individual skill set. Only people who say Maye is overrated didn't watch him in the regular season. We'll find out this upcoming season. It'll be funny if Maye struggles this year. Yeah, I remember Prince saying the same thing, that Josh Allen would struggle when they ended up losing Stephon Diggs. I love this. This is always my favorite stuff. Dan Orlovsky was the starting quarterback of an 0-16 football team. He obviously lacked everything he's talking about. Nick Sirianni never played a down of pro football in his entire life. So you think you have to play or not play to know what you're talking about? Of course you didn't. Bo Nix will take Denver far if turnovers are minimal. I'll tell you what, I can't believe the job that Sean Payton's done with him. Maye is in his 2nd year with McDaniels. He's going to get better, not worse. Correct. I can't wait to hear your excuse when Maye has a shit year. He will. All quarterbacks do. Even Hurts. I hate watching AJ, but I'm not going to say nonsense about Maye. He's really good. I don't think Burrow has a top 10 arm strength. He's just one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. He's had some great skilled people, too. Let's not forget something, too, dude. Okay? He had Jefferson and all them guys down at LSU. He had some great players around him. Actually, Mount Union has got great respect for me. They got one of the greatest winning streaks of all time down there. Yeah, no, listen. That is a formidable school with great winning tradition. I don't care what level it is. Denver is the perfect example as to why KP sucked last year. They ran a super cool looking basic offense. Yeah, and they did. They did, but Courtland Sutton is a very underrated guy. He is. Very underrated. If Bo Nix didn't go down, Drake would not be in the convo. I'm not a Bo Nix fan whatsoever. Kim, he finished second in the MVP voting. Let me double check that. 2025 NFL MVP voting. And it's a regular season award. Yeah. Matthew Stafford got 366 votes, 24 first place. Drake May got 361 votes, 23 first place votes. He lost the most valuable player award by 7 votes. I mean, Kim, he finished second. Some of those rankings, he were off his rocker. Denver has a top 5 defense, too, arguably one of the best secondaries. So does the Seahawks. Seal's thoughts on Mayfield playing with an edge this year and becoming Rodgers' replacement next year in Pittsburgh. Could see him anywhere. Could see him in Los Angeles taking over for Stafford as well. Could see him being a starting quarterback in Miami. Could see him being a starting quarterback with the Jets. You know? All right. So, how many people saw the interview today with Darius Cooper? And let me go what Nick Sirianni said. Did you see what went on in that presser today? How about Nick playing office politics? Right in front of your eyes. Go back and watch the press conference. Go back and watch the presser and what Nick Sirianni did when he was asked questions about Darius Cooper. You know why? You can't throw shade or cover for Makai Lemon by propping up somebody else. No way. It was played out right in front of your eyes. Anybody who's been a player knows first round love, no matter if you're playing or you're not. When it was brought up about Darius Cooper having a great camp, ho, 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 ho. We got a lot of football to go. We're happy where he is, but we got a lot to go here. Hang on. How about the way he's dismissed it? I guarantee you, if that was Makai Lemon out there making those plays like that, Nick Sirianni would be jumping through freaking hoops to show all the love for the front office and for Howie and his scouting department and kissing that guy's ass. Shit, they kissed Makai Lemon's ass holding a cup of water. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, dude, give the kid his props. He's the most talked about player in camp. The kid was a UDFA. This guy's been like climbing up Mount Everest for over 2 years, and you can't give the kid a pat on the back going, hey, this kid really is trying to make a spot for himself on this football team. Instead, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We got a ton of football left. Let's not go anywhere. I mean, they kiss Lemon's ass. Oh, I love his work ethic. I love the way the work ethic. The guy barely plays. Probably so. If Sirianni had his way, Probably so. You can't throw that kind of love on a football player knowing you drafted a guy 17th. No way. That's not how that works. That's why Jalen Hunt is still behind Nolan Smith. It's completely the hierarchy of where you're drafted and the politics of football. It's been that way for over 100 years. If you're an undrafted free agent, look at the undrafted free agents and late round guys that you guys have let loose on your football team. Howie doesn't let ones go. Howie's going to keep those guys. Shit, if you're a 2, 3, or 4 or 5 rounder, you're expendable. First round draft choices? Dude, Nolan Smith is not a bad ball player, but he's not an impact player. He's a good player. Is he a starter? I don't know. You guys were getting crushed at the edges, and that's why you went and got Jalen Phillips. Think about it. If you were playing so well at the edge, why did you get Jalen Phillips and put him in immediately? So as it happens in the NFL, Kelce, a 6th-rounder, took number 1 pick Danny Watkins' spot. Malott, a 7th-rounder, took Andre Dillard's spot. Who do you think won the fight? A Jomo or Fred? I'm going to Jomo. To be fair, if we get through the whole preseason doing the same thing, he's not played in a preseason game yet. Kurt Warner was an undrafted free agent and won a Super Bowl with the Rams, and it took the Arizona Cardinals to the Super Bowl. Don't you remember how he got that job? The only reason he got that job was because, why? Does anybody remember? Trent Green got hurt in the final preseason game. That was the only reason he got hurt. He didn't beat out anybody, or you'd never know who Kurt Warner's name was. So, I mean, he would never have played. He got in there because, right, okay, so you know the story. Okay, Greg. That's the only way he got in there. Can anyone name a player that we've drafted for offense that we started and didn't deserve to be out there over who we had? No. Then again, you really haven't drafted a shitload of people in high picks. Your offensive, Markel Bell's probably the highest offensive lineman next to Cam Jurgens that you drafted in the last 3 years. Cam was the 2nd. Markel was the 3rd, right? Plus, you know, you still got veteran guys in that O-line. By the way, did Makuba start the season for the Eagles last year? Did he start at safety in the first game? Andrew Makuba? I forget. Did he start? Because, okay, so he started. Did Jahad Campbell start in the first game of the year for the Eagles? Did Jahad start too? Just because I think he did because N'Kobe was hurt, right? Okay, so Campbell and Andrew Makuba started. But Makai Lemon won't. Most likely. I don't know. Mike Martz didn't hate him. But Mike Martz didn't want to go with him for the entire season. to be fair. And Mike quickly changed, like after week 3 or 4, and fell in love with Warner. And those guys are best friends today. I know Mike Martz very well. Gotta love seeing teammates fight. Nothing builds a stronger brotherhood than a good throwdown. I've got no problem with that. Nothing personal. It's called competing. Things started as soon as he was healthy, though. He lost his job while he was playing good. Sills, our depth at linebacker will hurt Trotter Jr. this year. Some say he could start for other teams. His next contract, do you think his agent finds him another place to play? Before you say that, so you think Trotter could start somewhere else? Do you? Well, where are you going when you don't have Davis and Carter in front of you? You better put that in context too. Your linebacker core is great because why? You've got $60 million in front of them guys. Your linebackers better be good. Look at the money you got in front of them guys. And if you want to be Jeremiah Trotter and you want to go where? To the Jets and play inside linebacker and get blown off the football? Making tackles 5 yards down the field? Lead the NFL in tackles, and you're getting blown off the ball because the tackles in front of you are getting murdered. There's context to that. Those linebackers that are on Philly are having really good careers, right? Well, you better start looking at the guys in front of them, too. Who's in front? Ajomo, Carter, and Davis. Well, you're going to have a lot of free scraping space to make plays. I wouldn't flip my shit if Lemon didn't do much this year. Just want to see development. And put the best players out there this season. Most teams rush rookies out there and kill their careers early. Dude, you don't have the 8 years or the 5 years or whatever any longer. You got to find out if your guys can play. I completely hate that. If a kid's good enough, play him. Hey, and by the way, SS, if you can't beat out Elijah Brown or Elijah Moore and Hollywood Brown, where are we going here? We're not talking about him beating out Devontae Smith. Seals, you think one of the reasons Rodney Harrison is not in the Hall of Fame because of Trent Green, they labeled him a dirty player? Well, who are the most contact players in the history of the National Football League that played the safety position that were considered dirty football players who should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? There's two dudes, Rodney Harrison and one other guy who's not in the Hall of Fame, who should be in the Hall of Fame. And in my opinion, he's the greatest tone setter in the history of the sport. And people feared him. The Arena League is what taught Kurt Warner to be a good passer. I think so, when he was with the Iowa Barnstormers. Tatum. Jack Tatum. The ultimate tone setter. Paralyzed people, literally. Knocked people's helmets off. He couldn't play today. Jack Tatum couldn't play in today's NFL. He was too violent of a player. He would have been suspended like Burfict. Just was too violent. You could keep both at 27, but it's a matter to get something for him and let him walk. Tatum was unbelievable. And one of the reasons why the Raiders what were the great Raider team is because of that secondary they had. By the way, we've had some of the greatest Raiders of all time on this program, and he played right next to him. You guys know who he is. George Atkinson. My wife loved George Atkinson. Eagles medical staff is not going to rush Lemon back after Landon Dickerson accused them of rushing him back too soon last season. Could be. So let's get to Nick Sirianni again. Hey, how about that office politics? Hey, man. Whoa, 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 whoa on Darius. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Every single fan wants to see that guy play. I wonder if the coaches do. And I wonder if the front office does. Because if Darius Cooper gets a starting role and Lemon doesn't, so here, if Darius Cooper plays and is more productive than Makai Lemon in his first year, what will that say? How do you think that looks? If your 17th pick and an undrafted free agent has a better first year, how do you think that'll look to the front office, who drafted that guy and counted on that guy to at least carry some of the water for the offensive passing game this year? Sills, I'm tired of hearing mental reps. Mental reps. It's a media made-up thing, mental reps. He's sitting on the sidelines chewing ice, getting mental reps. Darius Cooper was actually a starting quarterback, like Hines Ward. I truly believe if that happens, it'll be because of Lemon's health. Not that Cooper is skillfully better than Lemon. Well, wait. Whoa, wait. I truly believe if that happens, it's because Lemon's health. Not that Cooper is skillfully better than Lemon. How do you know that? How do you know he's not a better football player? Because he was taken 17th and Howie told you so? You understand that. That's how the hierarchy works. The Eagles are telling everybody on the coaching staff and you, well, Lemon's a better prospect. We took him 17th. We found Cooper. He can't be as good. And boy, I'll tell you what, that political office pool that you play with players is nauseating. It really is. Like I said, Kurt Warner's a great example. You guys brought him up. Warner would never have ever played if Trent Green didn't get hurt. Even though, if you go back and talk to Mike Martz and Vic Vermeil, Kurt Warner outplayed Trent Green that offseason and that preseason. Still, they went, no, we're going with Trent because he's the more experienced guy. I think they got him from Washington or something. And they were going with him, even though Kurt Warner outplayed him. Didn't matter. That didn't matter. If Lemon is him, Coop going to give Wicks a run for his money. Hey, listen. We're not even talking about the number 2 guy yet. Tom Brady would never beat Tom Brady if Bledsoe doesn't get knocked out in the Jets game. Here, look at this. How do you know Lemon is a superstar? I know. Dude has been injured the entire offseason. I know. How did you know Kurt Warner was going to be a Hall of Fame player? I don't know. Opportunity. Get this. It's all unknown. Okay. So don't tell me you have a great wide receiver room then. So, Sills, the evidence that you have on Cooper is in training camp and his past preseason games. What evidence do you have on Lemon? There's your answer. Right. At least I've got something to work with. And Mike Marks was in Washington with Trent. Good job, Kyle. I didn't realize that. Let's see here. Prince says we might. Okay, well, let's take a look at what these men that he says you might. Let's see who they are. Let's see Dontavian Wicks. Let's check out what Dontavian Wicks has done in his career and see who he is. Dontavian Wicks. Green Bay, right? Okay. Best year was his first year. 39 catches for 581. 4 TDs. Next year, 415, 39 catches. Last year, 30 catches, 332. Okay. Who else? Hollywood Brown. See what Hollywood's done last couple of years. He was pretty good his first couple of years when he was in Baltimore. So his last 3 years in the league, 574 for 51 catches. 24, he had 9 catches for 91 yards. And in Kansas City last year, he had 49 for 587. And he's 28. Who's the other guy? Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore. Let's see who this guy is. Last 2 years. Let's see. 3 years. Let's go Cleveland. 2024. 61 catches, 538. And 9 catches for 112. Last year, I guess he was hurt. He had 9 catches for 140 yards. That's who Prince says you might. Let me guess. Hollywood Brown shouldn't make this team. Why? Because of the video? Moore needs to do more than catch scheme passes and flats. So let me go to Nick Sirianni. They're not going to name a starting quarterback probably until maybe even game day and what they're going to go. Darius Cooper, I do like what he said about one thing about him. Said he's got elite hands. That's great to hear. That's like Chris Carter shit. Nick would know what elite hands are. He's a pretty good wide receiver coach. Like that's a forte of Nick's. If Nick tells you this guy's got great hands, okay, you could take that to the bank. He's worked with some pretty good wideouts. And I believe him. He knows what he's looking at. Now, he's going to go hyperbole, but he's not really going in on that with this kid because of Lemon. I guarantee you, if Lemon wasn't drafted, they'd be going more over the top on Darius Cooper. If Lemon wasn't on the team. But he is. Elite hands is a good comment. He talked about his BS playing with detail. He said he's excited to see what Hurts does in 2026. Hey, you know what? I will say this to you about Jalen Hurts' camp so far. All the stuff we've never heard him work on, he's working on. I think that's good, man. I really do. Get this. Dude didn't show up all offseason, but because of the video, you're going to push that narrative when you said the same thing yesterday. Sills is a joke. Then why are you here? Pushing a video? It's a stupid interception. I'm talking about how people have reacted to it. You think it's an indictment I'm making on Hurts for the pick in practice. I care less about the pick in practice. I love the response and the reaction. It shows you where people's minds are. I don't know what else to say to you, Prince. Eagles 2026 wide receiver core for 23 or for 53-man roster. Okay? D. Smith, Wicks, Cooper, E. Moore, Britton Covey, and 2 to the practice squad. Darius Cooper was so good in preseason last year. AJ made him change his jersey number. He wore a linebacker number like 49. Is that right? I think I remember that. I do. I think I remember that. I think he did wear 49. Forget to add Lemon. Yeah, 50. He's got to be added. Seals, it's a numbers game with the emergence of Cooper and Lemon. A number one, another position player having a good camp probably gets cut. 41? Thank you. Seals, you know Hurts is my boy, but I still have to see it on game day. But I will say going against Vic helps him. Absolutely. Hey, Danelle. Like all these lists that have come out on Jalen Hurts, all the commentary, it's over. All the camp glazing, all the Philly media glazing, it's over. We're about to play 18 weeks of football, 17 ball games. And we're going to find out if Sean Mannion was the right hire. Here are your Eagle questions. Can Hurts do it? In the new offense? Will the Eagles get back to a great running game? Sean Mannion, the right hire. Was there no drop-off with the hiring of Chris Cooper? Is Makai Lemon a future star on the Eagles? And did Jalen Carter have a rebound season? Another one. Jordan Davis turned himself in to a 3-down defensive tackle. Did Landon Dickerson turn back and return back to form? Landon and Cam. These are all the questions that'll be answered. Can Hurts do it in the new offense? Is the run game returned? Is Sean Mannion the right hire? Is there a drop-off with Chris Cooper from Jeff Stoutland? Is Makai Lemon a future star? Did Jalen Carter have a rebound season? Is Jordan Davis a 3-down DT. Is Landon and Cam back to form? Let me see. Does Jalen Hunt elevate his game? And the last one, is Jonathan Grenard going to be an impact player? There's your season. Can Hurt? These are your 10. Here's the 10 questions, like the 10 commandments. Can Hurts do it in the new offense? Is the running game returned? Was Sean Mannion the right hire at OC? Is Chris Cooper a good replacement for Jeff Stoutland? Will Makai Lemon be a future star? Did Jalen Carter have a bounce-back year? Is Jordan Davis turned himself into a 3-down lineman? Number 8, Landon and Cam back to form? Has Jalen Hunt elevated his game? 10, did Jonathan Grenard make an impact on your football team? There's your 10 commandments. Those are your 10 questions that we're going to find out. How can you answer these questions now, Curtis? Here you go. Sills, JC will rebound. Okay. Lemon will be a future star. All these, I'm not going to finish reading it because we're going to find out. So it's back to what you were saying about Nick. Is that an indictment on him that they're finally doing everything he never did in the past when he's referring to Jalen? Expand on that a little more, Prince, if you can for me, please. Sills, I said Lemon will be not a star. Oh, okay. Well, I sure hope not. Root for any kid to fail, man. So hard to make it in that league. Rooting for anybody. Oh, yeah. Jake Elliott. Let's put an asterisk here. You better hope for good weather or Jake Elliott's going to have another shitty year. You better hope for not windy circumstances at Lincoln Financial this year, or you're going to have another crappy year by your kicker. I think all those questions piggyback off each other. How is the offense playing as a unit? Well, wait. Jonathan Grenard has nothing to do with the offense. Is he going to play or is he not going to play? And he's going to be an impact guy. Because if he's not an impact guy, you guys were telling me he was an upgrade from Jalen Phillips. Well, we're about to find that out. Another one, Sales. Can Campbell take his game to? That's a good one, too. I like that. Will Campbell be an upgrade from the Kobe Dean? I'll put that there. Campbell upgrade to Dean. Blankenship. Does Andrew Makuba cover the loss of Blankenship? Seals, JD would be 3 down without a Jomo on the team. That question will be answered next year. Bullshit. You're going to take a $25 million a year guy off the field this year And he's not a one-of guy? And we got to wait and find out until you take a Jomo off the field? No. That guy's got to evolve into being a three-down guy. They're paying him on being a three-down guy. They're paying him for what they think he's going to become. Okay, all right, I got you. Well, will it be a solid cornerback too? Yeah. Hey, just remember this. Jason, there's a reason why he's not on the Seahawks. And they're the defending champions. And see you later. When his offense falls flat on his face, blame guys like Elliott, Parks, gassing up a bunch of nobodies at wide receiver. He's like the Pied Piper acting and leading the rats. Dude, those receivers are just guys in their career. Hollywood's past his best playing days. Wicks, I don't know. By the way, let me go to Green Bay. Has anybody been a star wide out there? Like in the last, since Jordan Love has started? Let me see Green Bay. So let me see Christian Watson. So Christian Watson, 6'11", 422, 620, 6'11". He was a second rounder. Who else did they have on that team? Jaden Reed, 793, 867, 207. Golden, the kid from Missouri or from Texas, 361. Anybody else? Kraft, 355, 703, 489 in 8 games. So he's probably around 1,000 yards if he would have played the full season in 25. But their wide receiving core, what did Wicks have last year too on that team? What did Wicks do last year? Wicks had 6 catches or 6 yards for 1 catch. In 14 games, Dontavian Wicks had 1 catch for 9 yards. I'm reading the stat sheet, guy. He had 1 catch for 9 yards. They also never drafted a Devontae Smith. If they had Smith on their team, maybe they would have been more of a focal point in the offense. Dude, they're wide receivers. They're just guys up there. And they pay, yeah, you're right. And they gave Watson money. Okay, well, here. So hold on here. Depth chart. Last year, stats. Let's see. Dontavian Wicks. Numbers. It is 30 catches for 322. 24, he had 39 for 415. And at 23, he had 39 for 581. I think that was the playoff game this last year he had. Because they got it listed here with the team stats, Dontavian Wicks. There it is. 30 catches, 332 is what he had. Again, they're all dudes. And Prince had me look up a guy who had 300 yards receiving. Okay. The good thing about the New Eagle offense, the ball is getting spread around. I have Barkley, Goddard, Wicks, Slim Reaper, sprinkle the rest. The most important question of the year, can the Eagles sustain drives? The defense underperformed last year due to a historic number of 3-and-outs. They underperformed? I think they overperformed because of the shitty 3-and-outs. If they would have had a halfway decent 3-and-out football team, the Eagles might have finished 5th in total defense. I disagree with that. If their 3-and-outs were better, hell, if they were 20th, the Eagle defense may have finished top 7 or 5. I disagree with that take. GB just had a bunch of good wideouts, nothing more. Wicks was the odd man out because of contract year. He'll have more opportunity in Philly. So let's see what he does with it. Okay? That's a fair take. He's going to get his opportunity. I will say, if looks are deceiving, I say Wicks pressure today. He's a pretty big dude. He has some guns. Can be as physical as AJ. I hope so. Going to compare him to AJ? If they plan on distributing the ball like that, the playbook is going to have to be a massive scheme. These guys open. Man, if I got to get a guy open and he can't get open on his own. Sills, if Mannion plans on using the Green Bay offense, wouldn't it mean he plans on using Barkley and Goddard, bulk of the catches? Especially in the middle of the field? I think so. Yeah, but Love is a better passer than Jalen. I mean, he's a better passer. Guy goes across the field, sees the field better. And don't forget something else too, James. He's got a better play caller. This guy's got Matt LaFleur. Seals, if you're a defensive coordinator, are you really keeping a Jomo on the bench on third down and third? No. I'm pulling Jordan Davis off. No. If I'm Vic, I'm pulling Davis off the field until otherwise proven. That's my point. So this defense will keep us in every game this year. Yes, barring any injuries. I'm so ready to see the problem was. I'm so ready to see who the problem was for the offense. Nick or Jalen. That will be proved out this year. Jordan Davis hasn't. Well, I think the guy looks pretty good right now there. And by the way, man card alert on Maniac. Talking about another dude's junk. Dude, that's like a man card like violation. Unfortunately, dude, you're going to get yellow carded for that. Talking about another man's junk gets yellow carded. Doing it 2 times in a row, you get a red card. For talking about another man's junk. Not good. All right, imagine not only is the receiver able to get open on his own, but you also do your job at scheming him open so it works hand in hand. Of all the people that just let me down, Jersey Maniac just let me down by talking about another man's junk. Woo, man. Damn, dude. Jordan Davis hasn't missed a game. He doesn't get credit for that. He doesn't get credit for not missing games. Bring that up to Vic. Sill's not comparing Wicks to AJ, but like you said, he'll get every opportunity to prove it. Let's hope he makes the best of his opportunity. I agree with you. Hey, Sills, I've noticed something this offseason about the wide receivers. The players who are excellent route runners are not having problems. Wicks, Cooper, and Smitty are all great route runners. That's a great observation. You know why? They know the playbook. They know the exact cuts. That's a great take. We're literally talking about all sorts of different teams right now. Dog and mix. See here. I don't think the question is if Nick or Jalen was the problem. I think that question right there is irrelevant. Who gives a shit who the problem was a year ago? Did you fix it? But I see what you're saying now. Okay? But by the way, if Hurts can't pick up this new offense, are you going to blame the coordinator again? Hollywood Brown? What are you going to do? Yeah, Nick gave you a word salad today. He did. Gave you a word salad. Hey, by the way, Adam Kaplan's going to join us tomorrow. Our friend Howard Balzer will join us today at 4:30. Z's going to join us in a couple minutes here. How are people using the word great when these guys have barely been on the field getting like 300 yards in a season? You can't use the word great. They've been uninspiring careers so far, except for Hollywood. Hollywood's had a couple moments. He's had a couple moments. Okay? Let's see here. Seals, how hot will Sirianni's seat be? Or does he get a pass from Howie if this offense goes south? I don't know. Because you can't keep blaming the offensive coordinator. No, you can't. By the way, let me take a look at something over here. Let me go down the list here. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Let's see here. Philadelphia Eagles. Let's take a look how the video, there it is. Where is it at now? 16.3 million. Whew. Damn. Watching Hurts throw a pick. Completely out of context. Yeah. Jason, we got to do something before it's too late. No. You can't do nothing right now. Sirianni's job is as safe as it gets if the NFL stopped the gap. As a fan, give me the best 11 to make a deep playoff run. Don't work like that. Politics, bro. Forget where they were drafted. Forget that too. Dude, SS, you got to talk in reality. Give me the best 11. Forget where they were drafted. It's got nothing to do with it. Well, what do we give up in a trade? If we make a playoff run, none of that works. Jason, did you ever see a quarterback and his mom sitting on the field together after practice? That's 1,000% emotional. Oh, man. The players in the locker room don't like shit like that. You'd be shocked how you're wrong. Lamar Jackson's mom is his agent, and she's constantly in his face. Don't you remember what she said to him when he walked off the football field? What were you doing out there against the Eagles? Why didn't you run? You had opportunity in open space. Why didn't you run? His mom gave him shit walking off the field when they were playing against the Eagles. Should have took off more. What were you thinking? Mom got in his ass. Sills, I don't think you can blame Jalen for last season. I'm not blaming just Jalen for last year. The organization set that offense up for failure. From the hiring of Kevin Patullo on down. To the medical staff putting players out there that shouldn't have been playing. To a player that wasn't engaged because somebody didn't straighten his ass out. That's coaching, organizational, and player performance. All of it is what led to the offense laying an egg a year ago. All of that was all encompassing. It's the big picture. Shitty coordinator hire. Medical staff putting players out there that weren't ready. Players not engaged. And no accountability. No accountability. You guys realize this offense has been declining over the last 3 years. It's only up from here in my eyes. Stop always thinking the worst and be optimistic. Dude, you got to be a realist. Optimistic? How about being a realist? This is where you are today and what you are working with. I hope. Hope is the worst word in sports, next to potential. I hope the O-line comes back. I hope Lemon plays well. I hope that Hurts picks the offense up. I hope. All of that is wishful thinking. Who are you today? What are you? Who are you working with? What are the coaches that are on your team? How are they going to get you in a position of success? Based on their success. Simple. Optimistic? How about being a realist? I mean, seriously, who are you today? Who is your coordinator today? I don't know. Who is Makai Lemon? I don't know. Will Dontavian Wicks step up? I don't know. Will Barkley return back to form? I don't know. Will Gernard be an impact? I don't know. That's not being a pessimist. That's being a realist. Sills, was Jimmy Johnson ever a jokester when you were in Miami? No. On the football field? No. Off the field, yes. On the field, no. Okay? Sills is the king of holding people back. You don't improve because you are who you are. Holding people back. No, you know what Vic does every press conference, folks? He tells you who you are. He tells you what you are. He tells you where you are at this particular time on the depth chart. I guess Vic holds people back too. Because when you hear Vic Fangio talking, he tells you what you are and who you are. Guy like Prince, never be coached by a guy like Fangio. Because he would think he was talking shit to him. Me, if Vic was talking shit to me, as long as he was talking to me, I knew he was engaged with me, which meant he still had some hope for me. When that coach stops talking to you and stops addressing you, then you're really in trouble, guy. Holding people back? I was motivated by people who told me, you got a long way to go, son. And I fucking left Miami, an All-American, and was drafted in the National Football League draft. I left all them people behind me because I held people back. And I held them back because they were talking shit or ignoring me. Thank God I didn't listen to a guy like that feed me bullshit. Hey, I hope you're going to get better, kid. Hey, I hope. My coaches didn't talk to me like that. My coaches never talked to me like that. Okay? My coaches looked at me and said, you got to do this or you're going to be gone. And if you don't do this, you're out. This guy's playing better than you. Is that being a pessimist or a realist? I think sometimes my problem is I talk to you guys how coaches talk to players, and you can't take it. That's why when I ask questions, and they're different than John, I've been talked to like that my entire life. I played 33 years of football, and I don't ever remember not being talked that way. Seals, what do you think of Baldinger saying Miami has harder off seasons than the Eagles and most NFL teams? He's right, because Mario's there. Mario's bringing back that old school practice where you kick the shit out of people for 5 days. And then you got to Saturday, and it was a day off. My hardest games were Monday to Thursday. And we couldn't wait for the walkthrough with Jimmy. Our inside drills and our team scrimmages would go 3 hours. Full hit, full go against first-round draft choices. Jerome Brown, Michael Irvin, Vinny Testaverde, Jim Kelly, Benny Blades, Pearman, Eddie Brown, Kennedy, Maryland. All these guys, we're doing first-team reps for 3 hours. Full contact. To the ground. We played on Saturday with a day off. We got into games against Oklahoma, and we kicked the shit out of them and went, man, we beat that team and they were number one in the nation. Oklahoma came into our place. They were number one, and we beat them 28-10. And we walked off the field going, our second team was stronger. Highsmith was the third pick in the draft. And I'm going against him every play. And these guys are knocking your head off. You got into a game on Saturday, and Jimmy did the same shit he did the same shit when he was in Dallas with the Cowboys. They practiced like that there too. Can you imagine if Andy Reid had Vic his entire career? Vic would have been electric. And he'd have won something that mattered. Sounds like Saturdays were roadkill. There you go. Dude, let me hook you up on this. My 3 years at UM, we were 32-1. And we lost the first game of the year in 1985. After that, we went 31-0 in the regular season. 31-0. What are you doing? started a home win streak of 58 consecutive football games at home. There's dudes on that team that I played with that didn't lose a home game. They were for 10 years. And that was all because of the way they practiced. You're damn right, dude. All right. Hold on for a second. Before I get this up here with Big Z here, let me take a look at something here. Let me go over to Eagles here. Hang on here. Let me double check it here. Where are we now? What's up with this? 16.3 million people have watched that illustrious video. Without further ado, we bring in our friend from Birds 365, Big Z, Zander Krause. He joins us now. How you doing, bro?
What's up, Sills? How you doing, brother?
All right, man. Talk of the day is the illustrious video. So, what does that represent to you?
The Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts are the face of the league, Sileo.
Okay. That's a great way to look at it. Dude, there is so much interest in watching what this guy does this year in this football team. That's exactly what that means, see? I don't think it's a bad thing. I think actually it's a good bullseye because you know what you're going to get? Clarity this year. Either the guy's going to pick up the offense or he's not. There's people on one side that say, take a look at the comments. I think that's a polarizing story for this year for the NFL and for that kid. I think that's a great thing.
Well, he's definitely a polarizing player. I don't know how he's gotten to that point to be this polarizing, but he's definitely polarizing. You know, people love to love him or they love to hate him. It's one or the other, you know. But, yeah, 16 million views still is pretty amazing. I think I saw something put out there. The two posts for the Seattle Seahawks winning the Super Bowl combined with their post and with ESPN's post got like 5 million. 16 million want to watch Jalen Hurts throw an interception in practice in August.
And by the way, the social media team was trying to accentuate Q on that play.
I think so too. Yeah,
that's exactly what it was, but it didn't land there.
Well,
it landed on Hurts.
I don't want to without being disrespectful. I think there's a level of or a lack of general intelligence among the vast majority of social media consumers that fall for stuff like that. I mean, even Emmanuel Acho, like, no disrespect to him, but it's like he's tweeting out, why did the Eagles post this? Like, you can't put Jalen Hurts. You can't. You think Jalen Hurts really can't have that posted? I mean, who gives a shit? I saw a video of Drake Maye throwing a pick. I saw a video of Josh Allen throwing a pick. I mean, come on, man. But I think it does show you how much people want to watch this Eagles team and watch Jalen Hurts. It's pretty amazing, man. By the way, we have to today. I will insert myself into your topic list today with some A.J. Brown talk in New England. I mean, Drake May's in for a rude awakening.
Why?
He really is.
Why?
Let me pull it up. I think I saved it so I can reference it.
Okay, so social media doesn't matter, but it matters for AJ now.
Listen.
All right.
Drake Maye get asked a question today about, keeping everybody happy. He says, Drake Maye said the best thing to keep his wide receivers happy is winning. Nobody really tries to complain when you win football games. I think nobody's really that prideful in this sport about personal stats when you're winning games. That's the exact quote today from Drake Maye. Now, I want to ask everybody a question.
And you're reading it.
Do you know the answer to this question, everybody?
Okay.
In the last 4 years of the National Football League, all of which A.J. Brown was a part of the Philadelphia Eagles, can anybody name to me the one team that had the best winning percentage in the entire league for the last 4 years?
Okay. And so you took
Do
that.
you have the answer?
You took that and you spun it where you're saying that AJ was not happy with winning. Is that what you're saying?
The answer to my question answers that question.
Okay. Here's why AJ Brown.
They were the winningest team in the answer to my question, which you don't want to answer, was the Eagles.
No, I know this. I know they're 50-18. Okay. But here's why AJ Brown is in New England and wants it all. Like when Dan Orlovsky comes out with arm strength, Drake Maye, 7th. When he's talking about accuracy, Drake Maye is 2nd. And when he's talking about mechanics, Drake Maye is 8th. And when he's talking about decision making, he's got a quarterback that's 4th, according to him. And pocket presence, Drake Maye's number 1. The situation that I'm looking at is he wants winning and numbers. And that's why he wanted to go to New England. He wanted to play with a better quarterback and win.
I just want to let me give everybody a lesson in something. All right, today.
Okay.
While Sileo brings up the list from Dan Orlovsky today.
Yeah, got it right here.
And he ranked a bunch of quarterbacks by a bunch of different traits.
Right.
Okay. Let me just find it real quick.
I think it's on the cover, dude.
Dan Orlovsky. No, I saw that. I don't need to find that. I'm trying to find something else. Dan Orlovsky. Can anybody tell me who Dan Orlovsky is represented by? Let me give you all a little bit of lesson in how this shit works. Dan Orlovsky is represented by CAA, the Creative Arts Agency. It's Jimmy Sexton and some of those guys, some of the biggest and best agents in all of football. Now, let me rattle off some quarterbacks to you who are represented by that same agency. Dak Prescott.
Okay.
Josh Allen. Matthew Stafford. Sam Darnold. Bryce Young. Drake Maye. And Bo Nix.
All right. That's
all
fair.
Guys who were included in Dan Orlovsky's list today.
Well, let me ask you then. Let's ask you the questions here on how he looked at these quarterbacks, and let me see where you put Jalen Hurts. Where would you put Jalen Hurts on accuracy and ball placement? Top 10?
Well, I think there is a level of, I mean, if you want to ask me to go through it, I'm not saying that Jalen should be top in all of them. You pointed out where Drake Maye was in all of them. I don't think Drake Maye should be at the top.
Well, Drake Maye is the quarterback that AJ, the reason he went to New England also was because he wanted to play.
That doesn't mean that.
Bro.
You think Drake Maye should be
You think he would go to New England if Jacoby Brissett was the starting quarterback?
Do you think Drake Maye should be at that high? I have a lot of respect for Drake Maye. I think he's a good quarterback. Do you think he should be that high?
Here.
He's had one really strong year.
Let's see here. Why they put Jaden Daniels up there like 1 year?
I told everybody pump the brakes on Jaden Daniels.
See, arm strength. See, the Caleb Williams love on this thing is arm strength, ball placement accuracy. He's got here's another one down here. Mechanics. You think that Caleb Williams has good mechanics throwing the ball at 55% completion percentage?
Well,
man, I don't think that.
I'm actually a Caleb Williams fan, but he's got to
Stroud is mechanics, not me. Daniel Jones is mechanics. He had 7 decent games with the Colts. So this list, a lot of them, I said it when I went over the names. You could probably rearrange it any way you want. Okay, decision-making with the football, Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts being at 10, I don't know. I think decision-making, throwing the ball, I don't think he's very good at it. Decision-making, throwing the ball, and running, I think he's exceptional at it.
Well, do you count protecting the football as good decisions?
Yes.
Because I think in a way the Eagles have gone a little too far with the risk aversion.
Yes.
But I do think there is a level of Jalen for the most part, has protected the football.
That's
well
not a
in his
bad
team.
take by you too on the agency thing. It's
Well,
totally
it's a part
true.
of it. I saw
It's
some
too.
guy
No,
post
no,
you
but
know,
it
he
is.
made
It
this thing, and
is.
I'm
It
like,
is.
"Bro, it's an interesting point." But it doesn't. By the way, it doesn't mean that those quarterbacks that are represented by that agency aren't good players. But you have a little bit of a reason to throw them in there. Oh, I'm this guy or this guy. Go to this guy. I think.
Bro,
that
we
happens.
see that on game day every Saturday with the CAA guys and how and who they promote when it comes to coaches.
So you know how that works, dude.
It
We
is.
talk about
It
Drew
is.
all the time. Drew defends his guy. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what happens. It's all good.
That's a good poll by you because it's true.
But boy, you skated away from my take on Drake Maye and his comments.
I think Drake May's got so much around him that's going to make him a really great player with Josh McDaniels, the organization. The players are going to put there. I like Mike Vrabel. I think he's but Zander, you and I have been saying this kid looks great since he came out of Carolina. When he got drafted, we said we thought he was going to be a really good player. So we've been consistent on that, have we not?
Well, I think Drake, I think he's going to be a good player, but that's not what I'm addressing.
The second year he got a team to a Super Bowl. Second year starting, Jalen did too.
I'm not coming for Drake. I'm coming for the fact that Drake is still a young guy who's going to have to learn the hard way about the question he was asked today, which was, how do you keep everybody happy? He went on. I gave you the quote. He went on to continue to basically say, it's not my job to keep everybody happy. It's my job to move the football down the field, to be a good offense, to put the ball in the end zone, and to win football games.
He'll learn that.
Sounds like Jalen Hurts. Wait, Jalen, is that you? All that matters is winning foot.
Well, wait.
Drake?
Hold on. Dude.
Is that you?
Drake Maye.
Come on, Sills.
Drake Maye has never worked with one skilled guy like Hurts.
Oh my gosh! So you're telling me Drake Maye's not going to have to learn the hard way?
That you think Drake Maye has had the same, or like Jalen Hurts has had some of the best and most gifted players the last 5 years on his roster. This guy had Stephon fucking Diggs.
What does that have to do with Drake?
Bro, he's a more skilled player than Hurts. He's a more skilled player.
Does that have to do with his comment today?
Nothing.
So why you're arguing a different point? I never said Drake's not a good player.
No.
Or AJ's not a good player.
He's going to get the ball to him on time. He's going to get the ball to him more.
So you think they're going to have their cake and eat it too in New England?
I do.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't.
Oh, of course. Like we thought that Milton Williams wouldn't live up to it either. Okay.
Oh, no, I never said Milton Williams wouldn't live up to it.
Okay. Well, why won't AJ live up to it up there?
He might live up to it. They're not going to win the amount of games they want to win. They're not going to go the distance the way they want to go the distance. Drake's already talking about
they play in the AFC.
Wait, listen to this comment. This specific sentence. I think nobody is really that prideful in this sport about personal stats when you're winning games. Are you telling me Drake Maye doesn't have some things to learn?
I'm telling you, he's answering that politically.
Yeah. Oh, Sileo, the spin.
Dude, he's a better player.
Master.
He's a better player.
Oh, man.
He's a better player than Hurts.
Drake, hold on tight, my guy.
Bro.
Hold on tight. Welcome to the A.J. Brown Show. The number one team in the last 4 years of winning football games.
He's a better player.
Is your Philadelphia Eagles.
They ain't changing. I can tell you this. They ain't changing offenses up there in New England.
Do I have to don't make me pull back up the spreadsheet I made about the top receivers in the last 4 years also. Because not only were the Eagles the winningest team in the last 4 years.
They ain't changing that New England
AJ is the third most successful statistical wide receiver in the game the last 4 years.
Well, then why'd you get rid of him?
You tell me, because it's never enough for the guy.
Okay.
The guy can't be happy.
So your quarterback and your coach couldn't keep that guy on your team. All right.
Dude.
And now now everyone is pumping up Darius Cooper like he's the next AJ.
I'm
All
just
right.
telling you.
Even Nick
Drake May has a
Sirianni,
lesson to learn. That's my
even
point.
Nick Sirianni downplayed that guy today. Whoa. We got a lot more football. You know why? That was office politics at its best right there.
I will make you a 100% guarantee.
Go ahead.
A.J. Brown
We'll have
and
1,400
Drake May
yards.
together. I don't care about it. A.J. Brown and Drake May together will not come close to the level of team success or individual success together that Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown had the last 4 years.
I will make you an even better one than that. Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts will never in a billion years have the same success.
Why are you spinning off A.J.? You're like John McCullough right now. You want
to give me a fucking bold prediction? I'll give you one. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown will never have the same success that Brown and Hurts had together in Philadelphia. You want to do that one? I'll do that one too. Do you think AJ and Hurts are going to have more success? All right,
you ran away from my.
Do you think AJ Brown and do you think that
you're like Patrick Starr right now, hiding under a rock?
Do you think Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts are going to have more success than what AJ and Hurts did over the next 4 years?
That has nothing to do with my.
I'm asking you a completely different question.
No, but I think the team will be very successful continuously.
Okay, so you think
and as Jalen has often said, that's far more important.
Okay, so you think this year they're going to have more success as a team?
I didn't say more success. I think they're going to be a great team.
As successful? No drop off.
I think that would be a tough feat, honestly.
Okay,
that's how successful they've been the last 4 years.
How successful do you think this team's going to be this year without AJ on it?
Well, I mean, I think that's, you obviously are losing a great player, and you gotta try and get back there. It's never easy to replicate that level of success, which is part of the reason I said what I said about AJ and Drake May. The level of success that the Eagles achieved was so extreme. You're not going to find it many places.
Okay.
And that's why I say to Drake, you're going to have a lot to learn. Because they had some pretty incredible success.
We shall find that out because that'll be one of the question marks going into this year. As a matter of fact,
I got to find that.
I wrote down some questions here.
I got to find my spreadsheet.
I think this is going to be some question marks that you tell me, Zander. Do you not agree? 2026. Do you believe one of the biggest questions will be, can Jalen do it with the new offense? And do you what would your preseason answer be on that? Do you think that Jalen Hurts will do it with the new offense and be successful?
We got to get off that AJ topic quick. You're like McMullen. You're running away from that thing.
Because you're thinking what you're talking about is Fantasy Island. We'll find out.
Talking about Fantasy Island.
Yeah, because he makes a comment on August 13th. Bro, September's next month. We'll find out if that thing's going to play true or not. It's fantasy talk right now.
It's not fantasy talk.
Really? Well, we'll see if they have success or not. You don't know.
The success that the Jalen and AJ have is now in the books. It's not an opinion.
But you have no idea. That's like saying the new coordinator is going to have success this year.
All right, so go back to my take.
Okay.
Do you think they'll have more success than Jalen and AJ had together?
I think they'll have more. I think they'll have more offensive success together. Yes. Than they did a year ago.
Here, let me give you the numbers. 5,034 yards, 32 touchdowns, 3-time Pro Bowl, and 2-time All-Pro, plus a 3-year, $96 million contract for A.J. Brown playing.
You're in a lesser division. You've got a better play caller, and you got a better pocket quarterback. It gives him all the resources to try to go out and do it. Hey, by the way, we'll find out how good Devontae is by himself this year. We really will.
I'm not worried about Devontae.
Okay. Guys never made a Pro Bowl, and he'll be. Let's see. I can't wait.
Well, I mean, things obviously change when you go from playing next to AJ to obviously being the lone guy. I don't think the Eagles. Answer me this: it's fair to say, will Devontae replicate what AJ did? Does Devontae have the same circumstances? Because I'll tell you what helped A.J.
No,
Brown, having Devontae Smith on the other
no
side.
question, no question.
So Devontae doesn't have that type of number
Nope,
two.
nope, no, he does not. Everything is about the unit. You're totally right. A.J. Brown put up great numbers, dude. Because why? Because he had a great unit around him. There's no question. Hey, you're sitting there saying this. A.J. Brown and Drake Maye, you're leading to, and tell me if I'm wrong, that Drake May's got a lot to learn on how to deal with A.J. Brown. Is that what you're inferring?
I'm inferring that it's very hard, almost impossible to achieve the level of team and individual success that Jalen and AJ had together, and AJ was still miserable. Drake is saying that team success will supersede anybody's individual desire for statistics.
He was miserable because he played with that quarterback.
I think Drake and Maye has a tough lesson to learn coming up.
Again, we'll find out.
The A.J. Brown Show.
35 days away. We will find out. By the way, I think they got 33 days because they're playing on Wednesday
night
of this year. Absolutely, man. I can't wait to see. Football's tonight, also tomorrow.
Yeah, there's 4 games tonight, dude.
Yeah. 6. There's 6 games. Hey, dude. Let me go here with Lemon. Do you think they're playing office politics right now by not pumping up Darius Cooper too much? Because what they don't want to do is push this guy, because if he starts and Lemon is healthy to play, why wouldn't you play the guy who's having the better camp?
Yeah, well, I think camp is different than games. You know, I mean, the difference to me with this year is that Cooper isn't a proven player. Like last year, I wish the Eagles, I hope the Eagles will look at Lemon the same way they looked at
Cooper,
Jordan Davis.
Okay.
The same way they looked at Jahad Campbell. The same way they looked at Nolan Smith. The same way they looked at most of their other first-round picks, which was, you are not and will not be defined by what you accomplish in year one. Jahad Campbell was sent to the bench last year in the middle of the year, by the way, when he was having a pretty good year, in favor of Nakobe Dean. So if the games come and Darius Cooper is actually the player that gives your team the best chance to win, I would hope that the Eagles would not shy away from putting him on the field. I don't believe they will. I understand the nature of the NFL. But again, I just named you a couple circumstances where the Eagles did not. They did have some patience with their players. You know, they did give them the space. Jordan Davis wasn't playing a lot his first year. Remember, Fletcher Cox was still on the team, if I remember correctly. You know, Jalen Carter, I think, was a different story because he was so talented. Quinyon Mitchell, same thing. They didn't really have the bona fide corner. Quinyon jumped right into the mix. Campbell went to the bench. Nolan took a couple years to become that guy. Have the patience with Makai. I don't understand what this infatuation with he has to be the number 3 or on the field right now because we drafted him this year. He missed all of camp. He might be or may not be. I don't know this to be true. He may or may not be struggling with the playbook. He certainly hasn't practiced, you know, the implementation of the playbook because he's not on the field. It's one thing to read a sheet of paper, you know, and listen in meetings. It's another thing to go out there and do it. So I think they need to exercise patience here. And remember, they're in the Super Bowl window. When you're in a Super Bowl window, it's like pushing all your chips in the middle of the table. You know, you don't hold, you don't look for different opportunities. You play to win the game. You play to put yourself in the best position right here and right now. You can't think 2, 3, 4 years into the future when you're trying to win a Super Bowl, you know? And I hope that's the way they handle it. I think there are a little bit of politics being played, but I don't think they're like not saying anything about Cooper yet. I don't know. I mean, he did have an interview today. I think his wife and his mother were there at practice supporting him, which is cool.
He was also at the presser. I loved the kid, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a great mentality. I mean, his answer to being asked about everybody giving him praise, I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think even more important than that, I mean, shit, the podium is one thing. I think the guy's got a flat out good skill set.
Yeah.
Like you said, dude, sometimes it doesn't matter where you're drafted or how tall you are, how fast you are, or what you look like, or sometimes you just line up and you can just play ball. You're just a ball player. And I get that feeling from Cooper. Now, I'm not the arbiter of truth on talent evaluation or any of those things, but I do think Darius Cooper has what it takes to be successful. Jalen likes him, seemingly is having a great camp. I mean, the other thing I liked hearing the other day was it's not one type of plays that he's winning on. It's in routes, out routes, go balls, cutbacks, hitch routes, slant routes, everything. He's doing well out there. I'd like to hear that. And he also plays with the type of physicality that I think this team is going to need.
And mentality.
With life after AJ. AJ Brown was a big body physical receiver. You've talked all summer about how this team is a finesse team. Darius Cooper plays physical. Darius Cooper plays with, I got good hands, and I'm going to go and catch the ball and fend you off. I think this team is going to need that. Think about this group. I think Devontae is more physical than he gets credit for, despite being undersized. But Smitty, Lemon, Wicks, Brown, that's a lot of smaller guys. You know what I mean? I think having that physical type of dude is a good thing out there. Now, Wicks apparently is being pretty physical in camp. I like it. And Devontae, I think, like I said, is more physical than people give him credit for. But I hope if Darius Cooper has earned the spot, then he's put out there to go and play ball. And then if he can't do it, all right, then that's a different conversation.
I'm going to give you a comparison that I think he reminds me of. And this is going to come off way over the top. Man, he reminds me of a Steve Smith kind of guy. Like, Steve Smith was just an asshole. Get into fistfights in practice, knock guys out in the run game. Was just like a man out there. He reminds me a lot of Steve Smith Sr., dude. Like that tough fucking guy that just goes out there and man. I mean, I don't care where I was drafted. I don't care where you were drafted. I don't care what you think. I'm just going to go out there and we're going to go. Like when that guy competes, he doesn't give a shit if it's Q or a guy named Queen. He don't care. He's going out there and competing. And I like that mentality in a guy, especially when you're talking about a receiver like that and a receiver that plays with that kind of what Prince just said, that no shit kind of player kind of guy. Yeah. Hey, dude, you want to fuck with me? I'm going to fight you. That is what I'm getting from him. And I think he's fighting his way up that depth chart. And if Nick knows the kind of players that he had when he was at Mount Union and the kind of player maybe Nick was, I think Nick said something in that presser today that impressed me. He said he had elite hands. He said, that guy's got elite hands.
Well, you don't have 1,500 college yards. I don't care where you're playing without some pretty good hands.
Yeah, but
so he definitely does.
Dude, one position.
Do you think the NFL has gotten too far from that mentality? Like, let me explain what I mean. It's gotten so like prima donna, like pretty boy. Like you got to have the top draft spot. Like we used to have Seth Joyner on our channel, and Seth Joyner used to talk all the time about. I was drafted. I think he was an 8th round pick, if I'm not mistaken. Seth Joyner,
at a UTEP.
At a UTEP, I didn't give a fuck who was drafted in front of me. I was working my ass off every day to get on the field, and every opportunity I had, I seized the moment. I never was going to let my draft positioning stop me from achieving what I wanted to achieve. And it feels kind of like, I mean, maybe not in every circumstance. I mean, you still see, later round picks, but I don't know. It just feels like the NFL just is getting more away from the merit-based approach because, look, the money's getting bigger. The stakes are getting higher. You now have the Cowboys valued at $15 billion. Quarterbacks are making $65 million now. Wide receivers are making $35 million now. Feels like that's it's going away.
I'll tell you why. Back in the day, Zander, you can find a Seth Joyner in the 8th round. You can find a Moro Jomo in the 7th round. Because of transfer portal and nil, the money that's being spent on evaluating these kids, where are the kids all being drafted? I made a point to you in the last 3 years. Do you know how many non-Power 5 kids have been drafted in the 1st round from non-Power 5 schools? 3. That's 93 picks. And Q's one of them. That's 93 picks. You're talking in the last 3 years in the three drafts.
Crazy, man.
Because you know why? If you're not drafted in that hierarchy of the first round and you're those guys, you're going to get the first opportunities. A guy like here's what you're saying. All the major colleges missed on Darius Cooper. All the major NFL teams missed on Darius Cooper. And the Eagles got it right. How did they get it right? Remember something. The Eagles passed on him 7 times too. So, I mean, you mean we all got it wrong on Cooper? Do you understand the ego that goes into that? That if you've got a player that you missed on, and all of a sudden you guys have a player here that you're going to start over a 17th pick in the draft, that's big time visual failure. Hey, dude, if Darius Cooper rolls out against the Commanders as your number 3 wideout and Makai Lemon standing on the sidelines with a cup of ice in his hand, that's not a good look.
Yeah, well, I get it. But, you know, I don't know. I guess my rage of the day. But they're calling me a socialist in the chat now. But that's really, I meant the opposite. You know, I think meritocracy is a key point.
No, you want to run your football team like Vic runs his football team.
Yeah. But that's
put the best guy out there.
That's pie in the sky, Sileo.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to listen. Do you not agree? We talked a little bit about the first question here. It's going to be whether or not Hurts can pick up the new offense. Also, too, if Mannion is the guy, if Chris Cooper is not the big fall off from Jeff Stoutland, if Makai Lemon will be a future star, if Jalen Carter has a bounce back, if Jake Elliott has good weather this year, maybe he'll kick better.
That was the worst comment of the week.
If Jordan Davis is actually going to turn himself into a 3-down player this year.
And if Drake May will be able to put up with A.J. Brown's bullshit.
Yeah, we will find that out. I'll tell you what, who do you think AJ's going to respect more? Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, or Nick Sirianni and Sean Mannion?
Well, I guess you would say Vrabel. But
why wouldn't you not say Grant Vrabel and Josh McDaniels? Josh McDaniels got 6 Super Bowl rings.
Well, Josh McDaniels has the success. That's fair. Mike Vrabel can't hold the candle to what success Nick Sirianni's had as a head coach. That doesn't mean Mike's not a good coach. But I mean, what makes you say that? Just the macho big.
No. I saw him take a. Did he? Let me double check here. And like you said, Coach of the Year doesn't matter. Well, somebody check. Did Vrabel take that Titans team to the AFC Championship game? I thought he took the Titans. I'm not sure. I thought they went either to the divisional round or they went to the AFC Championship game. I'm not sure if they got to an. I thought he took them kind of far one year.
Was it that far? Mike Vrabel.
Did they, or was it the divisional round that he took? Maybe it was a divisional round. I think they got beat by Kansas City in that playoff game that they were up and they came back. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, they've been pretty good. They had 3 playoff appearances in his 6 seasons in Tennessee.
That's right.
They won the division in 2021, and they reached the AFC title game in 2019.
The Titans. Right.
Yeah.
That's right, Deshae. They blew a 20-point lead.
They won the Coach of the Year in 21.
That's right. They had a 20-point lead on the Chiefs, and they blew it. Yeah. Dude, I think he's a good coach. I really do.
Yeah, I like Mike.
You think Jalen Hunt's a better ball player right now than Nolan Smith?
He appears to be playing better. I don't know I think he's definitely a better pass rusher. I'm not sure on the 3-down thing. I mean, Nolan does that pretty well. He sets the edge well, can drop into coverage, plays the run well, can still get after the passer when he's healthy. I think Nolan has kind of – it's like one of those things where he's good at everything, but he's not great at one thing, so he doesn't jump out as much. and I think he kind of flies under the radar. But I think Jalix is on his way to a contract faster than Nolan is for sure.
Huh. Okay. Jonathan Grenard. You think he's going to be an impact player on his team this year?
I don't know, dude. I have no clue. 29-year-old guy had a down year last year. Went from double-digit sacks 2 years in a row to 3 sacks last year. Now out early in the season with a pec. Obviously, if it heals, should be all good, but it is one of those things that could linger or even get worse. I think he'll be – if he's out there, I think he'll be good because I think Vic is the guy to put him in the best position to succeed. But I'm a little concerned on the age and the health. But if he's out there, I'm going to say yes.
Let me ask you like a couple before we get Howard at the bottom of the hour. Let me ask you this on Wondolowski when he looks at players and quarterbacks and he looks at tangibles of them. What do you make of Jalen's arm strength?
I think his arm strength's good. I mean, I don't think it's great. I think it's fine though. I've never, I don't know. You see a lot of those like Jalen, he underthrew it so his arm strength's bad. That to me, that's not arm strength. That's timing. That's Jalen can make every throw from a strength perspective. So I think it's middle of the pack, but I think it's fine.
Yeah, I would put him in the top 15. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so.
Closer to 10?
Yeah, I think so. I'd have to look a little further at it. I mean, to be honest, it's not one of those traits.
I want to be fair here. I'm going to say closer to 10. Not
yeah, I think that's fair. I think
closer to 15. Range. Yeah. Okay. Somewhere in there. What do you think of like accuracy and ball placement? Where do you think he ranks? Top 10?
I think the problem here is just the inconsistency. I've seen him have some pretty awesome ball placement. I'll point to 22, the Super Bowl. I get it a long time ago, but I mean, some of his ball placement in that game was like literally incredible. I mean, I still that catch is seared in my head. That throw to Dallas Goedert, cutting across the middle on the right sideline, that Jalen just dotted over a linebacker, literally perfect throw. But then you obviously do have moments where it's not as good, and he's not really a rhythm timing quarterback like that. So probably average, middle of the pack.
Yeah, I would say closer to 15 on this one. How about mechanics? Feet, smooth motion, strong base, great feet in the pocket. Top 10?
Probably not, because he's always been a dual threat. Guys that have to have great mechanics are guys that can't escape the pocket that easily. Look at guys like Jared Goff. Look at guys like Brock Purdy. Look at guys like that. Joe Burrow's obviously got, freaking exceptional mechanics. But I don't think I'd put Jalen top 10 in that.
Okay. Decision making, they do have him in the top 10 here. And I personally think he should be a little higher.
I do too. At 10, I thought was a little low.
Okay. And I actually think Mahomes and him are low. I mean, if I had to look at decision making, you see Lamar at 7. I think Jalen Hurts is a better decision maker in games. Here, check this out. I think Jalen Hurts is a better decision maker in games than Josh Allen, than Jordan Love, than Dak Prescott, and Lamar Jackson. That doesn't mean
that goes into me to the comment you used to make about him being a smart player on the field. Yeah. I agree with that.
Like if I were going to rank him as a decision-making quarterback out of these guys, Josh Allen, Stafford, Love, Maye, Daniels, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts, I would put Stafford 1, Mahomes 2, Hurts 3, and then you could fill them in, the rest of them. You think Joe Burrow does a good job at keeping himself healthy? No. You think Lamar does a good job in games where he makes decision-making error throws in playoff games? No. Dak in playoff games. That's decision-making. Jaden Daniels, keeping yourself healthy. I mean, I don't see that. I would really put Jalen Hurts, Stafford, Mahomes, and Hurts in that 3. And you know what? To me, dude, decision-making is what wins you ball games. Arm talent doesn't. fucking with this other shit. Some of
Yeah.
this other stuff here. Ball
I
placement.
think it does. You know, I do think it's fair to say that what you said is true, but like last year, the Eagles did need more of Jalen to put his mark on a game, you know, and I think Nick has kind of, you know, Nick's philosophy has maybe,
I don't think they helped him last year.
yeah, I don't think they did, especially with the risk aversion. I get it. It's a big part of it, but I think there's a kind of a fine line you walk there where you're going to have your quarterback, you know, seeing ghosts and being timid with the ball. You know, like Elizabeth says here, he's smart. My one criticism is that he holds the football too long. I think we can all agree to that. He holds the football really long, but I do wonder, is some of that because he just never wants to turn the ball? You know what I mean? With that comes some good decisions, but it also comes moments where it's the NFL and there's going to be tight windows and you've got to fit that ball in there sometimes. And I think, you know, Nick has kind of coached that out.
Yeah, but I think he plays the Brady perception game there. If I throw that into tight coverage and into double coverage right there versus me taking a sack, what's better for my unit? Taking the 5-yard loss or throwing it into coverage to potentially lose field position and possession? I'd rather take the sack. That's decision-making, and I think that's a smart way to play.
That's a luxury, though.
It is.
And that's a luxury for people, for quarterbacks. And I'm okay with this. But for when you have a great defense or, you know, you have a great run game for, say, you know, and that's fine. I think you need luxuries to win big in the NFL, but not every quarterback can do that. You know, they have to push the ball.
Don't you agree that Hurts has lost a little of this second reaction ability? And this comes down to his running ability. You know, the one thing that really got him out of problems that made just headaches for DCs, taking off on 3rd and long, taking off on 3rd and long, making a play on 3rd and long. His second reaction play. He's gotten away from making that second reaction play, hasn't he? Like, he used to make those, like Zander, if the play wasn't working, he would make up for it somehow, or he would make that first down. He would move the sticks. And I think the last couple of years, that's gotten away from it a little bit. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong about that. I think that's a part of it, but
you think they want to bring that back this year with more design runs?
100%. I mean, I think Jalen knows that. You're seeing the reports come out of practice that, you know, he's looking faster and everything. So, yeah, I think that's coming back.
Why are so many Eagle fans so sensitive over Hurts?
Eagle fans are sensitive people. They were sensitive before Hurts, too. They'll be sensitive after him. I know because I'm one of all you fuckers, so don't get mad at me, all right? It's like one of those things, Sills. We can criticize our team, but you can't criticize our team. You know? That's kind of how it is, I think.
Dude,
I think there's another thing, too, though. Jalen is, as I mentioned yesterday, is part of a representation of a fan base and a city that's been starved for great sports success and really has never achieved it in a long time at the level or in a way that's been as meaningful as some of their rival destinations or some of the other big sports cities. And Jalen, you know, I was talking to my uncle about this, one of my uncles, not my Uncle Frank. You guys know about my Uncle Frank, but another uncle. And he's like, dude, I've been watching Eagles for 40 years. Like, I really don't care that people don't think Jalen Hurts is that good. I fucking love watching the Eagles win this many games. I love it. I love being in the playoffs every year. I love going to 2 Super Bowls. I love winning one. Like, dude, I could care less about the arm and this and that. I'm just enjoying Eagles football right now. And Jalen being the quarterback of that era, I think has created naturally and rightfully so a portion of people who are like, what are we really focused on here? You know, would you rather have the McNabb era again, who might have been more talented, but we didn't have as much to show for it? Would you rather, get bounced earlier? Would you rather not win as much? as other teams or as the Eagles are. So I think that's a part of it too. And I think that combined with Eagle fandom and Philadelphia passion creates the recipe that we have where you have 16 million views on a practice pick, Sills.
How about this? And I'm going to compare it to Hurts here in a second. Let me ask you this. 10 years from now, who do you think is going to be perceived better by Packer fans? Favre or Rodgers?
That's a good question. Probably Rodgers because I don't know. Maybe Favre.
You know, people.
You think some of the stuff that Favre got involved in, some of the assholery, will impact that a little bit?
No. I think Packer fans will look at Favre as more relatable than what Rodgers was,
dude.
Because you know why? He's got he's fallible, dude. He makes mistakes. He's like you and me.
But
he's more like you and me than Rodgers is. Plus,
what did Favre do again that was real fucked up?
It was something to do with the Mississippi. He took
it was not welfare, wasn't it?
It was like a welfare loan that he took for
dude, I don't know, man. I don't think people have. I don't know. That's kind of.
I don't know. If you watch him talk about and going after Dr. Fauci, Aaron Rodgers, and all that other shit, with all the stuff going after like Jimmy Kimmel and all that.
I mean, with all due respect, did anybody see? And not to get political here, but like, that's a little more reasonable than having a welfare scandal. I mean, Dr. Fauci's out there saying that there's zero risk for pregnant people. And now the studies come out and Fauci knew about it, that, you know, your chance of a miscarriage was like way through the roof if you took the vaccination, and Fauci hid it. Like, dude, you're a doctor. That's unethical.
I completely agree 100%.
So Rodgers calling that out, to me, I don't have a problem. I mean, maybe some people who are more liberal would have a problem with that, but I don't think that's the same thing as stealing welfare money. Like that, like, I'm a Favre fan in terms of football. Dude, that's fucked up.
It is.
I mean, what are we doing here?
I know.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not relatable to me.
No.
I think you're a fucking asshole.
Yep, absolutely.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's true and what's not, to be honest. I never really read too far into it. But
how do you think Hurts will be received and revered in years to come? You think he'll be revered? You think he'll be revered as a caboose, a star?
No,
legend, or what?
No.
You think You think he'll be
revered? I think he's another Super Bowl win away from being immortalized into legendary in Philadelphia. But let's just play out the Sileo doomerism. If he doesn't get another contract and it ends this year and they have, I don't know, they get bounced or whatever. I think he'll be highly regarded, but I don't think he'll be perceived as like one of the best in Philly. I don't know. It's tough to say. It's pretty tough to say right now.
Who do you think?
I almost need the benefit of hindsight to be able to give you a good answer.
Who do you think fans will receive better, Sirianni or Favre? Or excuse me, Sirianni or Hurts?
Hurts. Yeah, Hurts. But to be fair, I think both of them should be received well. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we can get mad at them as Philly fans for things that didn't go right. Neither of those guys should ever have to pick up a tab, as somebody says here in the chat, in Philadelphia. I mean, come on, guys. They were the quarterback and the coach of the team where we all were paraded down Broad Street. I did it with half of you guys together in Philly. Yep. I mean, they have a bad 2025, so you're not gonna, I think both of them should be remembered, or at least perceived very highly. They will be by me. I can't speak for everybody else.
Before we get to Howard Balzer, let's read some of these super chats if we can here.
I think we only have a couple. I don't know if you're gonna like some.
Oh, I like them all.
Ramir says, "Damn, why do you keep saying he left to play with a better quarterback?" No, he left because Barkley took his shine. He knew about Hurts' arm already and still picked the Birds. Well, he didn't pick us, I guess, did he?
No.
No, he got traded here.
Got traded here.
Again, I hate to do it to you, Sileo, but I pulled up the spreadsheet. In the
Dude,
last 4 years,
he wanted to play with a better quarterback.
Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee, and A.J. Brown. So again, I say to you,
and why did he want out?
will A.J. Brown and Drake Maye even come close to not only the team success, but the individual success that he had with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles? 5,034 yards, 32 touchdowns, 2-time All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, and a Super Bowl ring.
And do you know why he went to New England? Because of the next guest we have.
Because he's a cispot, dude.
No, you know why? See the next guest we have coming on? When that guy adds them up in a room and they've got to look at overall stats and team success, that's going to matter on a resume.
Well,
if I'm getting targets and I'm getting catches.
How's 5K in 4 years with 3 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pros?
If winning matters, you think
Amendola? My point is,
hold on.
I don't think it doesn't get as much
you
better.
Think
AJ made it seem like he was a bottom of the league receiver.
You think Amendola, Edelman are ever getting to the Hall of Fame?
No.
One guy's Super Bowl MVP, got 3 rings, and it's got most catches of he has more catches than Jerry Rice in the postseason. He ain't getting in unless he buys a ticket from Howard Balzer.
Howard can't be bought. Leon says Sil's rage baiting right now. It's confirmed. Yeah, he's been rage baiting all day. Here's Curtis. Zander, can you read the Maye quote and then follow it up with AJ? I can't wait. I hope you ask Howard about this. Here's the Drake Maye quote one more time. Drake Maye on how to keep all his receivers happy this year. Winning. Nobody really tries to complain when you win games. I think nobody's really that prideful in this sport about personal stats when you're winning games. Drake Maye has a lot to learn. The winningest team in football the last 4 years is your Philadelphia Eagles, everybody. A.J. Brown's Super Bowl post was basically about, I don't know, Curtis, about how it wasn't what he wanted it to be. Well, he likes lining up and beating the other man. Here's Hangry Dogs. The classic Big Sills deflection. You got him off on the rope. Z, time to go off the top rope.
It's August 13th. It's wishful thinking combo.
Here's Prince. What's up, Prince? Zander, you are in fatality mode. Finish him. You know he can't run. Spin master will deflect, call a friend, or talk about something else rather than admit what you're talking about.
Just keep sitting there and keep posting away there, princess.
And here's one more. Riot says, Z, can't wait till week 1 for my first trip to Philly. Hope to see you and the rest of JAKIB. Josh, it's going to be awesome, dude. Home opener, tailgate. What are we, a month away? Yeah, it's August 13th. Eagles play September 13th.
You got, is there a Birds 365 tonight?
Yeah, tonight.
Make sure you guys listen, and you can have John talk about that interception today that Hurts threw. You can talk about practice today here with John McMullen. Birds 365.
Face of the league, Sileo.
There you go. 16.3 million views on an interception. That's right. I'm going to ask
how women lie. Numbers don't.
There you go. That's why AJ's in New England. Love you, dog. Appreciate you.
Man. Later.
Man. I'll talk to you later. Oh, yeah. By the way, Howard Balzer, you should see what he did, too. He got about 70. Let me see. Howard Balzer came on with me on my my TV show on the weekend. And before I bring Howard up, let me see how many people gave Howard a bunch of crap for saying that Eli Manning is never going to the Hall of Fame. Now, he didn't really say all of that, but it got 79,000 views. So Howard said that it's going to be a while. I asked Jason Cole 2 days ago. Jason said he says the same thing. Without further ado, we bring in our Hall of Fame voter. We bring in our friend for many years. Howard Balzer joins us now here on the program. How you doing? I hope you've been enjoying that, Howard.
Oh, I was enjoying it. And can I channel AI here? Practice. You're talking about practice? Practice? You're talking about practice? Let me tell you something, Dan, and for Zander too. I don't know if you guys realize, but I'm a Philly guy. I grew up in Philly. All right, that's where I grew up. And boy, would everybody like to go back to the days of Jack Concannon and King Hill, and that Roman Gabriel was a pretty darn good quarterback. But boy, those were some dark days in Eagles history. In fact, I'll take everybody back 44 years ago to 1972, when Philly had one of the worst possible seasons of every team in town that year. Eagles, I think, were 4-12. The 76ers were 9-73. And Fred Carter, who was a good player on that team, afterwards, every team has these awards. He got team MVP. And he said, boy, just think where they would be without me. The Phillies won 59 games, and yet Steve Carlton had by far the greatest pitching season in baseball history, with a bad team going 27-10 with over 300 strikeouts, and the ERA was minuscule. And even the Flyers were decent that season, and they lost the playoff spot against the Buffalo Sabres. When, man, something tells me his last name was Jerry Meehan, something like that. I don't know if I'm right on that, but scored a goal from the blue line to knock the Flyers out of the playoffs. Bad. So, but I get it. What have you done for me lately? And all those things. I saw Zander said last year was a bad season. Boy, there's a lot of teams in the NFL and a lot of fan bases would love to have the season the Eagles had, considering where they are. So anyway, just wanted to get that stuff off my chest.
All right. Well, let me expand on what we were talking about with A.J. Brown. You think A.J. Brown has a gigantic impact up in New England? And do you think the Eagles miss him and what he brought to that offense? Zander pointed out they were 50-18 in the last 4 years since he's been there. Now he goes up with a better play caller and a better passer of the football in Drake Maye. I mean, do you think both benefit, or do you think one only benefits?
Well, obviously it's hard to say. I think certainly New England should be better with him on that team. And obviously a key part of it, and this is not to say or to insinuate that A.J. Brown didn't like Nick Sirianni or any of that, but Mike Vrabel's his guy. I mean, and that led to Mike Vrabel's departure from the Titans when they traded him, and Vrabel didn't want that to happen. And the Titans certainly weren't the same team after A.J. Brown left. Not saying that's the only reason, but that certainly was a big one. In terms of the Eagles, well, yeah, I mean, you don't have that guy. And even if he's not having great numbers in a particular season, defenses, when you're on the field, defenses still have to account for you. And now the kid they drafted, Lemon, I mean, he's been hurt here and there, so you don't know what you're going to get out of him as a rookie. So I would think it'll be pretty tough in the passing game for the Eagles, at least immediately, to replace what A.J. Brown was able to do for them.
So let me ask you, as a Hall of Fame voter, you want to get volume. And in the offense that he was in, obviously it's not a high-volume passing attack because the quarterback has been in the bottom 10 pretty much the last 5 years. So when you look at the numbers, he's 118th right now at 8,000 yards. For you, if he wins, does he have to win another Super Bowl? Do you think A.J. Brown, he's working on legacy right now. You know what he's doing. He left 50-18 because he's working on that gold jacket. What would he have to do, in your opinion, for you to consider him to the Hall of Fame in a very crowded room already with players waiting to get in?
Exactly. Very crowded room that only gets more crowded as more guys, become eligible. And, I would think he's got to be, he's got to break the 10,000 barrier, which he shouldn't have any problem doing in 2 or 3 seasons, but he's got to be up there in that. But it's tough. It's tough for receivers. I have presented now Torrey Holt 6 different times as a finalist. He's been eligible for 12 years. And his overall numbers, people look at him as, we didn't have a huge – well, he had to retire after 11 seasons because of a knee injury, and that kept his numbers down. But you look at his year by year, his first 8 years were as good as any player in NFL history has had in 8 years, with 2 1,600-yard seasons. And some will say, Dan, and I had to, counter this argument, well, you had Kurt Warner. Well, he only had Kurt Warner for about 2 or 3 years, right? And then Kurt moved on, and he had Mark Balzer and a history of other, quarterbacks with him. And Balzer was a good NFL quarterback. He wasn't, bottom of the heap, but he wasn't Kurt Warner either. And so you have Holt and Reggie Wayne of the Colts has also been a finalist 6 times, and it's been tough for them, to break through. So interesting. Steve Smith Jr. or is he senior? I forget. Junior. Yeah, he was a finalist in 2024, or I'm sorry, 2025 class, and then for this year's class, he didn't even make the finals because Larry Fitzgerald entered. And so, Hines Ward, who might be, he didn't put great numbers in a running offense basically in Pittsburgh, but boy, that guy could block, and he was a team guy, had 1,000 catches. He's never even made the finals. You have Anquan Bolden, Larry Fitzgerald's teammate, who was a real balls to the wall receiver. He hasn't been a finalist to this point, being eligible now, I think maybe 4 or 5 years. So like you said, it is tough to break that wide receiver logjam. And so I would say for A.J. Brown, he probably has to get into that, 13,000 yard area to be considered, much less than being talked about, much less actually being elected. And especially if this new process, and we've talked about this several times, if this new process continues, then it'll even be harder for him, because he's not one of those guys, no matter what he does the rest of the way, where you just say, oh, Hall of Famer. Yep, he's a Hall of Famer, which is what basically happened with Larry Fitzgerald. So it's tough. It really is tough. It's tough for everybody, but certainly for wide receivers and how they put up such incredible numbers on a year-to-year basis in the league.
Torrey Holt is a 7-time Pro Bowler. He's on the All-2000s team. He's better than Andre Reed.
Well, and
I think he's a better player than Andre Reed.
I think better than Tim Brown.
Yes.
You can get some other receivers, and I think what has happened to Wayne and Holt is there's a little bit of Rams and Cardinals fatigue. Well, how many guys on that team, on that offense, should be in the Hall of Fame? And the thing is, it doesn't take.
Plus, Wayne was a 2 behind Marvin Harrison, so maybe that plays something in.
Well, it could have been,
I want him in. He's a Kane, you know that.
But Reggie Wayne was darn good after Harrison retired, and so that was a big thing with it. And some argued that was Torrey Holt. Well, he was a number 2 behind Isaac Bruce. Well, you know what? One of the things that bothers me, if you go back in the day, people should, if you can get your hand on an old media guy, right, old NFL media guys or rosters, and they didn't list pass catchers as WRs for wide receiver. They listed them as SE for split end or FL for flanker. And a split end is on the line. A flanker, of course, is off the line and can go in motion and do all those things. Now they call the wide receiver an X, and the flanker is a Z, right? And the X is a harder position because you're right on the line and you're susceptible to bumps and all that, and you've got to beat the guy. You're not going in motion and get a quick start. And so you never hear that on TV. You never hear that from analysts explaining the X and the X and the Z, and then the slot receiver and all those things. And so everyone looks at them all the same. Oh, they're all wide receivers. Well, they're not. They're really not. And I think that's a big part of it. And I think a lot of people aren't totally aware of that. And like I said, so I had to counter that argument. Oh, Torrey Holt was a number 2. Well, he was the X. I mean, they consider the Rams consider them both kind of like 1 and 1A, and that was the reality of it. But I like I said, I think that there are some in their mind. We have too many with that team, which to me should never be a consideration. It hurt Jerry Kramer all those years with the Packers. Too many, enough Packers in the Hall of Fame, enough Raiders in the Hall of Fame, enough Steelers. Well, why should that matter? You should judge a player on him, what he did, what he accomplished, and it shouldn't be an X mark or a negative if other great players on the same team are in the Hall of Fame. To me, that should be a non-starter. But with only 50 voters, it doesn't take very many to keep a guy out. And I think I might have to change, assuming he's going to be a finalist in this next vote, I might have to change my strategy in terms of how to talk about him And I might just say in the meeting, we're not supposed to talk about what's said, but I might just say, I want anyone here to, because no one's ever said it in the meeting. I want to hear someone here to tell me, do you think there's too many Rams offensive players in the Hall of Fame? Who here believes that? And I hope people will tell the truth, because I'm planning to address that when we get down to the nitty gritty in January.
Well, they did it for decades with the Raider players. Why wouldn't they
exactly.
do it with the Raider players?
I mean, look at Donnie Shell, right, for the Steelers, who didn't go into the Hall of Fame until the Centennial class. Look how long it took Cliff Branch in the seniors. He was on the same team as Fred Biletnikoff. And Fred Biletnikoff went in early in his eligibility, and Cliff Branch was hard. I don't even know if he made the finals. And then finally he got in as a senior. I mean, that guy struck fear in the hearts of defensive backs in the NFL. And so that's the thing. And you mentioned Andre Reed. That's what I should look at. That's what I say look at with Reggie Holt and Reggie Wayne, for that matter. All right, look at some of these other receivers, and you're going to tell me that those guys are more deserving than Torrey Holt or Reggie Wayne? Well, if you do, I want to know what you're smoking.
Absolutely. Howard, you made a great comment last weekend, and it got a lot of play with Eli Manning. And I think what people, especially in Philadelphia, don't understand, when you guys are evaluating Hall of Fame potential players, Super Bowls are great, but that's a team accomplishment.
Bingo.
Because at the end of the day, those 2 Super Bowls have not moved the meter for Eli Manning on being elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Because if it was going to move the meter, he'd be in 2 years ago. Now, my question to you is, when you're evaluating a guy like, say, a Jalen Hurts, you look at the suspect numbers. They're not great. In a pass-happy NFL, we always talk about this, Howard. Well, back in Bob Greasy's era, compared to the 80s era, the 90s era, well, you're in an era where you throw the ball 60 times a game, and there's more opportunity for more yards. When you see a guy with 1990s numbers, and you see a resume with 2 Super Bowls on it, how do you look at a guy like Hurts? Now, look, there's a lot more to play out. It's hard to do that right now for you, and I know that. But when you're evaluating a player, I keep telling people, because he's been to 2 Super Bowls, that's not a slam dunk. This guy's a Hall of Fame. I don't see Hall of Fame player. Do you?
Probably not. I mean, I don't like to judge a guy before his career is over, but it doesn't scream out Hall of Famer. Now, granted, he brings a lot to that offense with his running ability and all those things, and you have to take that into consideration when you evaluate a guy. But the thing that drives me more nuts than anything is when there are those who say, well, 2 Super Bowls, or like he won 2 Super Bowls. He made 2 big plays, one of them which was divine intervention on the David Tyree catch, but he did this, or his record was this, as if the quarterback's out there on the field alone, as if it's golf or tennis. Like you said, it's a team game. To me, I don't know why anyone ever ascribed 1-loss records to quarterbacks. I mean, because there's so many other things that happen, especially in football where you're only playing one side of the ball. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy to me that a lot of people look at it that way, but a lot don't. And I'll tell you, truthfully, if you look at those 2 Super Bowls that the Giants won, Eli Manning and that offense would not have even been in position to have a game-winning drive at the end of the game if the defense hadn't shut down Tom Brady and the Patriots in both games. In fact, that first one, when the Patriots were undefeated, they were averaging I don't remember the exact number, but it was like 450 yards a game and 35, 38 points a game. They were held to 14 or 17 points in that game. And so the problem is when you're voting for MVP, game MVP, you're probably looking, oh God, who can I vote for on defense? And there wasn't one guy that had, like Larry Brown had 2 interceptions, or there wasn't one guy that had 3 or 4 sacks. So it's hard to just identify one defensive player to be the MVP. So the fallback is the quarterback. And that's what normally happens. But it goes deeper than that. I remember one year when LaDainian Tomlinson was up for the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. And someone they were still in San Diego at the time. And I'm pretty sure of that. Someone asked the presenter who presented him, asked him, well, how do you explain that, the Chargers never getting to or winning the Super Bowl? And I'm thinking to myself, he's not even a quarterback. You're asking that of a running back? Like he can control what happens, with the team and all those things. And of course, the Chargers, we're always losing to the Patriots or the Colts in the postseason. But to me, I can understand if it's close between a couple of guys. Maybe you start looking at team accomplishments and all that. But I think sometimes that goes to places that it shouldn't when you're evaluating an individual player on team success. And hey, Kurt Warner eventually got in, and I don't think he would have got in the Hall of Fame if he hadn't helped get the Cardinals to the Super Bowl that one year. But they would have had a second Super Bowl, after they scored the winning touchdown to Larry Fitzgerald, and then the defense couldn't stop Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers, moving down the field. I mean, that's the balance in football of offense, defense, and even special teams, the impact that it has on games. And so I think sometimes, like I said, there's way too much emphasis on he won or he lost when it's a sport that has 11 guys on the field on every play.
Howie Roseman, do you think he's built up a resume where you look at him and you see, like John Schneider, are they on a Hall of Fame trajectory where you're looking at an executive, and what goes in for you to look at a player versus, say, an executive or a contributor? How do you look at a guy like a Howie Roseman when you're considering that guy for Hall of Fame?
Well, I don't think they should be compared to coaches or players, which, of course, right now the contributor finalist is compared. We've talked about that many times, how the process now forces us as voters to choose between three seniors, players, a coach, and a contributor. And it shouldn't be that way. They should be looked at, in my mind, individually. But so you look at a contributor in terms of their success. And for a long time, it was hard to get contributors in. In fact, the only contributors that were getting in were owners for a long time. And then back in 2014, 2015, somewhere around there, they created a separate contributor committee and would put up one finalist or two for 5 years. They alternated for 5 years. And then all of a sudden, Bill Polian, Ron Wolf, Gil Brandt, Bobby Beathard, trying to remember, George Young went in the Centennial class. But all of a sudden, we're talking about these excellent talent evaluators who set the stage for the coach and the players to win. So I think I don't think there's any doubt. It's whatever point it is, Howie Roseman, John Schneider will definitely be considered, and I would think they'd have a good chance of being elected for the sustained excellence that they've had in building teams and building rosters, and especially having done it with basically one team for a long time. And both of them have. We'll see what happens the rest of their career. But I think it showed. It was funny. It was funny. I saw a poll that someone did, and I hate looking at polls because the people who vote most of the time don't know what they're talking about. But I saw a poll a few months ago, and it asked fans to vote for their favorite team, and if you think that you could draft, especially in the draft, if you could draft and evaluate players better than your general manager. And from the Seahawks fans, a team with John Schneider and the carryover from Pete Carroll, obviously, to Mike
McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel, and they win the Super Bowl and are a winning team in the first year with McDaniel. And the Seahawks fans said 34% of them said that they could do a better job than John Schneider. Well, that tells you all you need to know about all the noise out there and how much value it really has. But those are two of the best. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about it. And I think if Ozzie Newsome wasn't in the Hall of Fame already as a player, he might get put up as a contributor. But why? What are you going to do? Give him 2 busts? I don't know. But he was one of the best also, and he did it for a long, long time with the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. I asked Jason Cole this the other day. He was on 2 days ago, and he said he would hold it against him, and I wonder what you think. Lane Johnson announced that this will be his final season. He's considered one of the best right tackles that's ever played. He's failed 2 PED tests. You guys are pretty strict when it comes to controversies. T.O., Belichick. I wonder how that's going to play out if it does at all against Brady. You missing and having to miss games because of failed drug test. Does that play a factor in whether or not you're a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Well, first, it doesn't for me. And I think the whole PED thing is kind of back in the day of anabolic steroids when it was a whole different environment in the NFL. And then when the league put its foot down, and then they started listing all these different things that you can't take. And so many times guys take something and they don't even know what's in it. And a lot of times they're taking something to recover from injury. It's not to build muscle mass and all those other things. Sometimes it's to recover from working out, to be able to work out again. But it's not what anabolic steroids were. But, we saw now, I guess Lawrence Taylor wasn't suspended for PEDs, but he had off the field.
Recreational.
Yeah, recreational. Antonio Gates had a PED suspension. He got in his second year. Some think he didn't get in his first year because of that. I don't know. I don't know why people didn't vote him. He was in the final 7 that year. Or no, they didn't have the 7 that year. But in any event, it's not a mark. It's not a mark for me. I think that sometimes, hey, it just happens, and you wish it didn't. But you also, and they never announced what the substance was, what it was. Doesn't matter if it was a tainted sample or things like that. And so maybe in some people's mind it does. I know in mine, unless it's someone that just repeatedly. But we just don't see that many guys hit with that anymore. And I wouldn't, when Lane Johnson comes up, if I'm still a voter, I wouldn't have a problem for him because I know you just look at that Eagles record. Look at the Eagles record over the years when he's been on the field and when he's been off it, whether it's been injury for whatever the reason, and it's dramatic the difference that it is. So that would not be something that I would choose not to vote for him.
Do you believe? We got a question here from folks. Do you believe that Jason Kelce has a shot at being a first ballot Hall of Famer? Now, there's not a lot of centers that make it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on first ballot. Do you think Jason Kelce is a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I would say probably not. Of course, a lot depends on who's in the class that year. I'll revert to the process thing that I talked about. Will make it difficult. I mean, Marshall Yanda, who's one of the great guards for a long time in the NFL with the Ravens, and I'm trying to remember now how many years he's been eligible. It's at least 2. And he's been a finalist, but he hasn't made it to the final group where we vote. And that's a guard who's had, a tremendous, tremendous career. So I would say, now, I don't know if there'll be people who will be, oh, what a personality, what a great guy and all that. I don't know. I don't think there's too many people. I've heard people say way back when we put John Madden in or put some other guys in, well, they were on TV and that put them in the spotlight. I find it hard to believe that there's too many voters that look at that when they're analyzing a player.
741 win percentage. I think they looked at that more than anything else.
Exactly. But that's what's said, out there. And so I don't think something like that would enter it, for Kelce. And I would say he's got a good shot of getting in one day, but it could be, a wait for him. But like I said, you look at those guys that come in every year. I mean, you look at the first-time eligibles next year that now enter into a very difficult process where you have Rob Gronkowski, you have Adrian Peterson, you have Ben Roethlisberger, you have Jason Witten. Some guy who could get a little bit of controversy is Antonio Brown. I mean, Antonio Brown was a Hall of Fame talent, but, there you enter into all that other stuff that, they say off the field, but a lot of that stuff that he did affected his own team and the way he was. And so I think Antonio Brown's going to, face a long road, kind of like T.O. did. And T.O., of course, refused to come to enshrinement. I mean, what are you proving by doing that, right? You got in your 3rd year of eligibility. Be fortunate.
Do you regret voting for him?
T.O.?
Yeah.
I don't think I did, quite honest. And in fact, with all the discussion there was.
No, you didn't vote for Terrell Owens again.
I don't think I did. It was several years ago, but I don't think that I did. I think that some people, is this an opinion, that some people might have voted for him just so we don't talk about it anymore. Because the same discussion year after year, right? And after the first 2 years, I actually made a comment in the meeting. I said, well, if this is the way a lot of people feel about him, then should he get enough votes to even be in the final 15, right? But that's, but he still was in the final 15 again. And I think, that was a part of it, is that, boy, if we vote him down again, he's coming back next year. We can have the same discussion over and over and over till he gets in. So there becomes some of that fatigue. Some will say, well, it shouldn't be that way. If you feel strongly about a guy, don't vote for him. But obviously, there were guys who changed their vote on him from all the things that had been said and talked about in his first 2 years of eligibility, and were talked about in year 3.
Howard, how can the voters, the 50 voters, not hold what some of the voters held against Bill and Kraft for first ballot for Brady, for him going in? Or was it more what you said? And when you've been very straightforward. You, to me, have said this, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. You correct me if I'm wrong. You're more about player. So it's a different context here, because we're talking about Brady, the player, versus Belichick, the coach, and Kraft, the owner. So there's a different category in how you look. You think players should go in over those guys, as I do. Now, do you really think that there's going to be better candidates next year than Belichick and Kraft to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on what they've accomplished?
It'll be, you can't think of one. And I was one who thought that I was shocked that it took that long for Robert Kraft to be the finalist in the contributor group. Finally, he was the finalist. And then, of course, it was the same year as Bill Belichick. And so, I mean, when you look at what that franchise accomplished with Kraft as the owner, plus he saved the team for New England when there was the chance they were going to move to St. Louis. He was involved in the CBA negotiations that ended the lockout. And
the TV contracts that he works.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't see anybody that could be better. Now you can say that maybe Mike Shanahan, but and certainly Mike Shanahan and Mike Holmgren, who didn't get in the year before this class because of large part because of the process, are very deserving also. But I do think that there are those, and I don't think Deflategate is going to really have an effect on Tom Brady. I think that was, you're talking about the air pressure in the football. Come on. But the other stuff with filming teams, and I know people say, well, you're only cheating unless you're not cheating unless you get caught, right? And there are some who said, this is a lot of people have said about Bill Belichick. Those tapes went on for seven years that they were doing that. So how do we know how many games were affected by that? And Jimmy Johnson said, we tried it, it didn't work, right? Well, it must have been working for the Patriots to do it for that many years. And then the league, the NFL, destroyed the tapes. The Patriots refused to. So the league sent people to the Patriots facility, gathered all the tapes, and destroyed them. And someone said, well, they paid their price, right? Because they had lost a draft pick and there were fines. Well, that doesn't speak to how much of the success was achieved by ill-gotten gains. And we know that it happened. We don't know how it affected games. Sometimes all it takes, Dan, as you well know, 1 or 2 plays to affect the outcome of a game. And we don't know that. So it was kind of strange to me that for years and years, the narrative for the Patriots was, Belichick's a cheater. The Patriots are cheaters. They're this, they're that, and the other thing. And then Bill Belichick doesn't go in his first year of eligibility, and people think it's this. How could this happen? How egregious is that? Well, which is it, right? Which is it? And so, but I do think that if that's what you feel about Bill Belichick and don't vote for him, then I think that's well within your right. And it's surprising to me that a lot of people don't believe that.
I got one last one here for you. I want to go down the Buddy Ryan lane. So Buddy Ryan was a defensive line coach with the New York Jets, one of the greatest wins of all time, one of the most significant. He coached the Purple People Eaters. He created the 46, and he's arguably one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time in pro football. In your opinion, does he have a shot to get in as a contributor one day for the contributions that he's made to the National Football League, especially on that side of defense?
Well, he's not a contributor. He's a coach. And that's the thing. And I've said for many years, we've probably never talked about it, but there's no path for an assistant coach, basically. Well, I guess there is a path if they were nominated. I think, as I recall, over the 22 years I've been a selector, the only coaches, basic assistant coaches, excellent assistant coaches that were even nominated were Richie Pettibone and Bill Arnsparger.
Okay.
Right? And they didn't advance in the voting. And so the Pro Football Hall of Fame created these awards of excellence that they give each year. They give to equipment managers and PR guys and video guys, and they created one for assistant coaches because that's the only way for them to get recognition. But man, you mentioned Buddy Ryan. He's deserving probably to be in the Hall of Fame as an assistant coach, right? But he's one of many on a long, long list. Go down the list of all the great offensive line coaches that there have been. Great defensive coach. Jimmy Johnson, right there in Philadelphia. I mean, look at Vic Fangio, right? And I had a selector tell me once, well, if the guy was a head coach and he failed, that hurts him. Well, why should that hurt him? Just because you advance to the top job and that doesn't work out, that doesn't eliminate all that you accomplished as an assistant coach. Vic Fangio should be in the Hall of Fame one day. He won't be because the assistant coaches don't even get looked at hardly by the selection committee. And I think that to me is one of the least talked about oversights that there are. I mean, look at I'm trying to think of defensive coordinator. Ernie Zampisi, offensive coordinator. I mean, heck, the list is long of the top assistant coaches that there have been, and Buddy Ryan is certainly on that list.
Tell folks where they can find you, Howard, because we're going to do some more stuff with you coming up here real soon here, especially with our weekend show as well. How can folks find you?
Covering the Cardinals on CardsWire. .USA
Today. By the way, how's my boy Carson Beck looking?
Well, he looked good last week in the preseason game, and then it came out today, a week after the game, that he's not going to play tonight against the Raiders in the Cardinals' second preseason game because he injured some ribs in that game last week, continued to play, and then was practicing this week without seemingly any problem. The injury was not communicated to anyone. And then all of a sudden it comes out today he's not playing tonight, but there's no worry about it. It's more a precaution than anything. Don't want him to take a hit. But he's looked pretty solid. Now, of course, there was total overreaction to what happened last week. Oh, he should start week one. He should do this. He should do that. But what it's going to do, Dan, is it gives the Cardinals some real thought because, most people figured Cardinals aren't going to be very good this year. They're going to have a relatively high pick in the draft next year, and so they'll draft a quarterback. Of course, that's dangerous to plan that because you never know how many good quarterbacks there'll be. Just because it looks now like there will be, you don't know what it's going to look like once the college season is over. But if they really like Beck's development and how he's taken to things and his operation and picking up the offense very quick, that could very well say to the Cardinals, we've got our guy for the future. You don't have to pick a guy in the top 10 to be successful. We've got our guy, and wherever we pick next year in the first round, we can use that pick to help somewhere else to continue this growth of this team. So that's what's going to be interesting to see if he gets some games somewhere at some point during the season. If they're not winning many games, I'd expect that in the second half of the year, and we see how he does then. But even that is not a full picture, right? But it does give you an idea of how the guy is handling it. Is he poised? Is he affected by the bright lights or any of those things? And the Cardinals truly I believe they feel that they've got a guy that they can develop for the long term.
Absolutely. Howard, I appreciate you. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
Sounds good, Dan. Take care.
You got it. The great Howard Balzer, Hall of Fame voter. We appreciate him coming aboard there. Wow, man, some really telling stuff there. Appreciate it. And him being as candid as you can. And like he said, I've tried explaining this to you guys about Hall of Fame when it comes to the Super Bowl stuff. These Hall of Fame voters look at the entire body of work of the player, not the team accomplishments. They look at the player. All right, let me pay some bills here. Our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason. That is because they win. Folks, told you about the family in Pennsylvania that was initially offered $650K, they got nearly $30 million in settlement. Or the family in Florida that was initially offered $350,000, they were given $12 million in settlement. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.
There's a reason Detective Johnson is the gossip king.
Oh, did you hear? Jackie and Tom
are getting a divorce? Sad.
Well, I heard that Ashley
had work done on her face? Yeah, oof.
Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Injured? With over $25 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Bathroom? Okay.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Oh, okay.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
So you just heard a Hall of Fame voter say that he's not voting for Lane Johnson, at least on the first ballot, and Jason Kelce. Shows you how hard it is to get in, dude. It's not a slam dunk as much as you guys think it is. And you hear people always saying, Lane's one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time. Well, that's a guy right there. When Lane calls it a career, just told you, at least on this day, August 13th. Now, maybe he gets convinced, and he doesn't think he's a first ballot or a Hall of Famer right now. That guy may have to get. Jason, no, he said. He didn't think Jason Kelce was a Hall of Fame player. I think he said, you're right. I think he said Lane will get in, but he doesn't think Jason Kelce's a Hall of Fame player. Maybe he needs to come on the show more. Jason Cole grew on me. Last time he was here, he was stumbling big time to answer questions. Bro, he's a Hall of Fame NFL voter that votes on the most valuable player of the year, and he also votes on All-Pro and he votes for the Hall. You can't have anybody more plugged in the NFL than Cole and Howard Balzer. When you go into the Black Book, the first name mentioned is Howard Balzer. He's been a Hall of Fame voter for over 35 years. I mean, just thank you for asking Howard about Buddy and the other great assistants. You can't mention the history of the game without Jim Potter, active president, needs to change the rule. I agree. Sills, if Hurts gets another Super Bowl and wins with the Eagles this year, how's he not an HOF? Yeah, I agree. I mean, 2 Super Bowls, 3 appearances. Well, hey, James, how's Jim Plunkett not a Hall of Famer? He's got 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Drake May, everyone just wants to win. AJ, winning doesn't make me happy. I need to dominate individually. Okay, well, let's take what Z said earlier on this. And he said what Drake May said. You know, winning has to be the number one thing. Well, it wasn't for AJ. Well, AJ was lying then. It was more about numbers than winning. Do you ever think AJ was lying? Did you ever think he was lying? That winning wasn't really the number one priority? Would it make you shocked that a wide receiver wanted numbers versus winning? Would it shock you? Hey, people lie. This just in. Do you really think it was about winning? Don't you remember the puss he had on when he won a Super Bowl? He didn't care. Because, again, a guy like that wants to win the Super Bowl in games through him, not through the other dude. They don't want to be part of a team winning a Super Bowl. They want to be the reason why they won the Super Bowl. Drake May threw an interception today at practice, but ain't have the views of Hurts. Yeah, because no one cares about Drake May throwing a pick. Everyone cares about Hurts throwing a pick. What? We should stop reading some BS Twitter posts and actually do some research. I don't believe you're talking to me. Chip Kelly would be a great guest. I know a lot of fans dislike him, but once they hear him talk, they would have a lot more respect for him. I know Chip well. We all saw Drake May throw picks in the Super Bowl. Okay. So? They want to make Prescott a Hall of Famer because he threw a bunch of garbage time yards and missed the playoffs 4 times and choked some wild card games. Dude, Dak Prescott is going to have a really great chance to get to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If Hurts wanted to be selfish and throw the ball 50 times a game to reach an easy 350 yards from throwing so much, he could do that. But that's not his winning formula. His? Sills, Matthew Stafford got drafted in 2009. He got his first playoff win in 22. And he's an all-time great quarterback? I thought Matthew Stafford was a great quarterback when he was in Detroit. He was on a shitty team. And he was in a bad organization before Brad Holmes got there and before they started restructuring the front office. They ran it like Ford Automotive. They didn't run it like a football team. I thought he was a great quarterback then, just in a bad organization. That's reality. Well, what happens when Matthew Stafford was moved to an organization like Stan Kroenke Sports? Won a Super Bowl. He's on the best team. He's got an MVP award. Gee, you went from the Lions to the Rams. I don't know. Maybe where you work matters. Do you think Yanda goes in before? Oh, yes. Yanda as guard was 5 times second team and 2-time first team. Kelce was 6-time first team All-Pro, but it's crazy that Yanda isn't in. I disagree with Howard. I think Jason Kelce's a Hall of Fame player. I do. I disagree. So, all-time great? I don't think that. Sills, I got to believe a lot of people don't know Jimmy Johnson graduated with a psychology degree from Arkansas. Irvin was pissed when he resigned. Did he scare the big Sills in you at UM days? Nobody put the fear of God in you more than Jimmy. Scared you with hard work and your job. Hey, dude, we had 1-year renewable scholarships at Miami. That applied to everybody. We had our yearly, at the end of the year, we would have our, Jimmy called it the come to Jesus conversation. And every single football player, all 85 of us, would get up and we'd have this meeting. Myrna would call you. Myrna, hey, this is Myrna. Coach wants to see you on your year-end review. And you would have pucker factor on a scale of 1 to 10. Because you didn't know what he was going to say to you. And you'd walk into his office, and if you could see he was in a good mood, you knew you kind of were all right, and he would tell you right away, great year you had, awesome stuff. We're going to be promoting you. This is going to be your team. Really a fixture. And then you're like, whew. But, dude, you didn't know what he was going to say. You had no idea. And you signed your scholarship on the way out of Myrna's office. And you were lucky if you signed it, she would put the scholarship there. I've seen guys walk out of the office and there's nothing on the table. And those guys are being sent home or wherever, into the ether. Highly recruited guys, Gatorade All-Americans. A scholarship renewal wasn't there. Yeah, people were always under the impression, you signed a 4-year deal. Not at UM, you didn't. I have a question. Why can't NFL players be Hall of Fame voters, but can't be NFL refs? I don't know that. It's a great question. I don't know. Wait, not true. Brett Soule was a former NFL player, and he was a teammate of mine with the Buccaneers. And Brett Soule went on to be a NFL referee. So he played in the NFL. So I don't know. I think Brett was active. Good. He was on our Buccaneer team. He played at Alabama for Ray Perkins. Shields, I think Jason won't be a first ballot even though he's worthy. He'll go in together with Travis. Yeah, that's a media thing. I don't know if the voters are going to go for that. Fuck, I look like being extra happy my quarterback threw for 400 yards in one game from throwing it 50-plus times along with interceptions and losses. Now, that's not the game that wins games. Hey, dude, I don't have a problem with you talking like a fan. I'm talking about Hall of Famers. Shields, we need an Alonzo Highsmith interview. I don't know if the Patriots allow that. People are not reporting on talking about Drake May throwing interceptions because his contract isn't up at the end of the year, like Jalen Hurts. People need to get a clue. Dude, Drake May just coming off a Super Bowl. Nobody's questioning the quarterback in New England. Nobody's questioning the quarterback in Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Denver, L.A., both. San Francisco. Nobody's questioning no quarterback. The only quarterback that's being questioned He's the guy with 16.5 million views. And it's a stupid video, a meaningless throw, but it shows you what it meant. So his first ballot has so much to do with who you're up against. Yes. They need a better system. If a guy should obviously be in, it shouldn't matter how many he goes in that year. That's correct. I don't have a problem with putting in 6 guys into a Pro Football Hall of Fame. Those are the quarterbacks that need to answer the most questions, though. They haven't delivered the Hurts has for the most part. Then why is that? Why is your own organization even asking the question? Money speaks, dude. Hey, Sills, remember that one time when Zander brought up the Drake May quote about winning and you skated around it? Here's the issue. He left Philadelphia because he didn't want to play here any longer. So it must not have been about winning. It was more about numbers. Did you ever think A.J. Brown was lying? Can't be about winning. It's got to be about numbers. Did you ever put that into? Wait, so A.J. doesn't lie. Okay. Whatever, guy. See, it's more about the drives, the algorithm, than anything the Eagles did. Hate gets pushed to the top. Now, wait a minute. I don't think it's just hate. I think there's a lot of people defending him. These are my ultimate favorites. Right there. That's my favorite one right there. So I looked it up. Ex-players can't ref because of bias and conflict of interest, but they can vote. Make that make sense. Okay, well, then Brett must not have been active, but because he had a tryout. He was on our team. I really like Brett Soule, too. I thought Brett Soule. Let me take a look at that. I thought Brett Soule played because he turned out to be Brett Soule. Football. Yeah, there's my friend. Let's see. Was he active? Signed, injured reserve, signed, released. So he was drafted by the Dolphins. And they must have just changed that rule because Brett played. And he was an NFL referee. Now he's an SEC official. Let's see here. Whether you like it or not, you can bring up passing all you want, but at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts never missed. Okay? It's irrelevant. Still is soft for not demanding and only expecting greatness from supposedly great quarterbacks. And passing stats don't translate to W's. W's are not exclusive to quarterbacks. Somehow you have made that Hurts is a statistic. It's not. Sills, based on their roster right now, which quarterback should be playing for a Super Bowl team included? Sills, based on their roster right now, which quarterback should be playing for a Super Bowl team included? Help me out on that. Let's see here. So let's use Reyes here. So what's the difference between Matthew Stafford, Detroit, and Matthew Stafford, LA? Anybody? What's the difference between Matthew Stafford, Detroit, and Matthew Stafford, Los Angeles Rams? What do you think? What's the difference? Supporting cast and coaching. Okay, what else? Different program structure. Okay, not bad. What else? head coach. Okay. What else? Ownership and management. Detroit, even with him, was still a consistent losing team. They weren't the same people they have now. That's not true. The same difference as Sam Darnold. Okay. So, will we not agree that Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold played in poor organizations? And once they got to better organizations, they won? You think there's a difference there? Or no? Or everything is even? Like if you play for the Jets or you play for the Eagles, that's the same, right? In your eyes. And that's when you say they don't deliver. Sills, the Lions drafted like a kid playing Madden while Stafford was there. Stafford had one 1,000-yard rusher when he played there in Detroit. His name was Reggie Bush. That was 1 year in all the years he played in Detroit. And he was 0-3 in the postseason. He goes to a better organization with the Rams. He's completely – by the way, when he was in Detroit, he had an under 500 record as a starting quarterback in the league. His Hall of Fame prospects were nowhere near anywhere. Like, he would be in a conversation like with Phillip Rivers, who I think is a Hall of Fame player, but there'll be a debate because he never won. But when you look at who he was, someone like saying this, how many people in here would go, and I know there's people who will say this, that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers. That's insane. That's insane. That's insane to say that. Phillip Rivers is a better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger, than Eli Manning. But because he played for the Spanoses, that was a problem. I mean, of course you think he is. Lamar Jackson is in a good organization. Why does that matter? It does matter. He has to, I agree with you. He has to win. Still a resume to be played. What year did, let's see this one. You guys are so like to indict. How many years did it take Elway to win a Super Bowl? Let me see. Shit, he was 0-3. It took John Elway 15 years to win a Super Bowl. 15. Remember Charles Rogers, Roy Williams, and Mike Williams, the 7th and 10th overall picks? Well, he won in Los Angeles. Charles Rogers? Charles Rogers, the wideout. Remember Charles Rogers. Remember Charles Rogers. Charles Rogers played 3 years and had a total of 440 yards. Who's Charles Rogers? He had 440 yards when he played. Like, who's that? Dungy and the defense pushed Manning over the top for the Super Bowl. Yeah, well, don't get it twisted. Peyton Manning is a great player. Oh, Curtis saying the Lions drafting morons. Yes. Guess who was drafting those morons? Matt Millen. Let's see here. Yeah, no, I got it. tell you what, Jalen Hurts is the number one quarterback who protects the ball and has the highest win percentage in the NFL in the last 4 years. Not Mahomes Allen, but Jalen Hurts. See if he gets a contract. Hey, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes just got new deals. They redid Allen's deal last year, and they just did Mahomes' deal now. They did do Allen's deal last year. We did Josh Allen's contract last year, right? On March 9th, 25, the Bills signed quarterback Josh Allen to a 6-year, $330 million extension running through 2030, featuring $250 million in guarantees and $155 million in full guarantees, paying him $56 million annually with a $72 million signing bonus. Man. Seals, the problem we all have is Hurts is a winner, and he just can't imagine not winning and overcoming adversity until we see him turn into the guy you need to ease. Dude, I've given him credit for what he's accomplished. He's last 4 years, it's been great football. Dude, you said the same thing with Jalen Carter, and we did the deal. Okay. Like I said, I hope he plays well this year. Oh, and one thing too, Kill. I don't want to hear anything about injuries, and I don't want to hear anything about character, because those are off the table now. All the concerns that all of you had, and many of you changed your ship because they did it. Okay. Well, I've been consistent. I would have waited until March to see how he played. But here you go. Hope he plays great. By all intentions, it looks like he's a beast. And he might have a bounce back year. Let's go. That's one of the questions. Will he have a bounce back year? From his injury-plagued year that you guys said. That's not a narrative. Those are facts. What up, Sills? Just joining. Been slammed all day. Hope you're doing a good one. Thank you, Bootleg. Appreciate you being here. Those are off the table for Burrow, Allen, Jackson, and Herbert, too. Not sure what you're talking. You said, where's Jalen Carter's deal? And we did the deal. Yes. Stop, where's the deal? I did. What I'm saying is true. Don't try. Deflect what? I'm consistent. You're not. I said I would have waited until after the year. I've said that the entire offseason. That's not new. That's not new. Seals, you ready for? I'll be sitting down, having a Corona, watching some ball, looking forward to it. And see, even in the preseason, I like to watch the interior, both lines. So I watch inside play. There's no freaking way that Drake Maye has better pocket presence than Joe Burrow. Let's get real, dudes, on crack. I agree. However, one thing that I think Joe Burrow's got to do a better job of, okay? Hold on. I shit on Darius Cooper yesterday? What did I say? That I shit on him? What did I say? I don't remember. What did I say? Did I shit on him? Preseason gives everybody a shot to be seen. Not everybody. He really is not Phil's. I love you, but the dude is not. If Bron, okay, you have Bronny coming. You were like, who the fuck is? I never said that. I never said this. This is not true. You implied he isn't good enough to be the wide receiver 3. I implied? What did I fucking say? I didn't say who the F is that. I said, if you think that an undrafted free agent is going to play over Makai Lemon, you're high. Made up. Again, these people change the room. Fit whatever they want. Because you have to first play teams in your division, don't you? Leon, the fact is he has a pretty good record against the Eagles. As a matter of fact, he's got a great record against every team in the NFC East. His problem is against the Cardinals and shit like that. That's what I've been told. And you let him go. Flip-flop. Because you think one guy's career. I'll tell you what, if they don't re-sign Jalen Hurts, Eagles will flip-flop again on the second quarterback in a row. No. They flip-flopped. Get this. He thinks that takes are set in stone. They gave Carson Wentz the richest deal in NFL history. Then 3 years later, they fired him. Did they flip-flop? Did they on Wentz? Did the Eagles flip-flop on Wentz? Yes or no? They made him the highest paid player in the league. Did the Eagles and Howie flip-flop on Wentz? Yes or no? No. Did Howie and the Eagles flip-flop on Wentz? Yes or no? Can you answer the question? Did they flip-flop on him? They signed him to the richest deal. Did they flip-flop on him? Oh, wait. His regression? So wait. He was a good player, and then he wasn't a good player. Okay. Well, get this. That's how you cover sports. You need to be honest about Wentz's regression. Okay. So at one time he was really good, and then another time he wasn't. Is that what you're saying? Well, isn't that flip-flopping in your eyes? Wentz flip-flopped on himself, not the organization, though. Giving him the richest deal in football history, and then they firing him in 3 years. Okay. All right. Hey, only here can you get shit like this. Okay? How can you, hey. No, Wentz got hurt and didn't bounce back. Okay, a player gets hurt. A player doesn't play well. Senor, did you flip-flop on Nakobe Dean? Why isn't he here? Well, he is a good player. Can't sign everybody. Okay. So the Eagles are not, like Howie says, in the room of keeping good players. Deshaun Watson got a big-ass contract, too. Browns are trying hard to flip-flop on that decision. You're damn right they are. You're damn right. You think they'd like to have that back? You're damn right they would. Wentz is the biggest letdown for me as an Eagle fan outside of Jerome Brown. Yeah, a little different. If Wentz could have just manned up, he would have, in my opinion, be a dynasty at this point. Bro, Jerome Brown died because of his recklessness. Let's see here. Nix was running a simplistic, short, low-laden offense behind a top O-line. Maye was running a complete Josh Daniels offense. Hey, Rasputin, think about this, what they did in Bo Nix. They kind of took a copy out of what the Eagles did, right? They ran the ball, played good D, and really nothing over the top, correct? Deshaun Watson, named starter, Cleveland, make sure every cent out of his ass and trying to get every cent out of his ass. Dude, Shedeur Sanders is not the starting quarterback in Cleveland. He's not the answer. I'm not sure Deshaun Watson is, too. I mean, he's got one last shot at this whole thing. Or Arch Manning bound, baby. That's where Cleveland is going. And by the way, you could bet this. You think that Archie Manning is going to allow, or Cooper Manning is going to allow Arch Manning to play in Cleveland? Not happening. That is not happening. What? So what? They could kill his ass too there? No way. Cleveland will trade that pick because he ain't playing there. I don't give a shit how much money you think you're going to give that guy. That is not happening. I can't believe someone just put Jerome Brown and Carson. I know, right? I mean, Jerome Brown was a more talented player than Fletcher Cox. And he's still a better player than Jalen Carter. Okay? He's still a better player. But both guys have a lot of similarities. People will be like, oh my God, Justin Jefferson almost had 2,000 yards. Yeah. Eye for eye test. That was over targeting him. Are you under the impression that Justin Jefferson is not on his way to the Pro Football Hall of Fame? And that Jefferson's not one of the top 5 receivers in the game? Good players can be on shitty teams, dude. I never got that. If a guy has a lot of yards and he's got a lot of sacks and he's on a shitty team, that's his fault. What about the 21 other guys? I mean, seriously, what about the 21 other guys? Is Shedeur not good enough to be a starter? Legit question. I don't pay attention to Cleveland like that. Jeff, I don't think Shedeur Sanders has good pocket presence. I think he holds on to the ball too long. He doesn't throw the ball away. He's more concerned about his completion percentage and his stats. He doesn't see the game well. He never plays on time, and he's late in the huddle. All of those things hurt him. I think he's got a pretty decent arm, but in the pocket, he's just not really NFL. He really doesn't have the intangibles in the NFL to play in that position. I mean, throw the ball away, kid. Why are you worried about your completion percentage? And he did that shit when he was at Colorado. He's just, again, it's more about him filling a stat sheet than him really, trying to help his offensive unit get better and push his unit as a collective. I don't think he helps his unit at all. I think he's more concerned about the flashy play. I don't think shit at that kid Dylan Gabriel either. Watson, when he was in Houston, was spectacular. Okay? because Dak puts up great numbers against you. Many of Dak's career numbers are against the Eagles. Killer must not understand that both teams in the NFC Championship had over-targeted wide receivers. Puka Nacua and JSN. Yes, you're right. I didn't mean any. I got it, man. I'm saying if Jerome didn't die, we'd win Super Bowls. And if Wentz wasn't, we would have won more Super Bowls. I'm sorry. No. It's all good. Listen, the problem with those Eagle teams back then was ownership. And it was Norman Brayman. Norman Brayman didn't want to spend money on the offensive line. Dude, how do you have Keith Jackson? How do you have, Keith Byers, Randall Cunningham, Chris Carter, and you have a $5 offensive line? I mean, and you had a top-flight defense. The reason the Eagles didn't win is because they didn't have an O-line. And Buddy really didn't have a great offensive coordinator. And Buddy never really wanted to have another guy on the other side of the football. And it kind of hurt him a little bit in moving the sticks. And Brayman didn't want to spend money on 5 dudes. You had Jim Lachey all wrapped up, ready to go. Instead, he goes to Washington from San Diego. He was playing with the San Diego Chargers at the time. You guys had a deal on the table. And everybody, and Keith Byers had helped try to get that deal. Keith was on the show, told you that. That's what hurt Jerome and that team back in the day. All right, guys, I got to pay some bills here. Our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in all of America, for a reason, and that is because they win. Folks, there is no company like Morgan & Morgan that goes out and protects families like yours. Without a doubt, if you've ever been injured on the job, do me a favor. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you. Commercial? No? All right. I guess not. All right. People like to downplay the stat that Hurts is weak at while ignoring the massive stats from other positions that got him there. I don't know what happened. Let's see here. Still commit the most amount of, let's see here. I'm looking forward to seeing some of these teams tonight. I think Dallas is playing tonight, too, if I'm not mistaken. Barkley's rushing yards didn't matter in 24 either, right? That's how you won the Super Bowl. That was the only thing that mattered. He completely carried your football team. Was Barkley in 24? Was it your 29th ranked passing? Not at all. But he wanted to win every game, 3-0. Yeah, it's too bad. Bro, you're Cowboys. You're a Cowboys fan. You don't anything about protecting the ball and winning games like Jalen last 4 years. Jalen is the best not turning the ball over. I love that I was teaching today, and there was a bus stop right outside my studio, and I saw a bus with Morgan & Morgan on it. Pretty cool. I thought, hey, John's biggest, they play Saturday, DFW, cool. John's biggest statement, you know what it is? Hey, John, I'd like you to advertise with me. You know what he says? I don't have to advertise with anybody. You know why? Because I'm everywhere. That's what he tells, like, advertise. Like, getting Morgan & Morgan to advertise with you is impossible because he don't need you. He spends over $535 million a year in advertising. He's dude. Man, I can't tell you. People always asking me, how do I get Morgan on my program? I'm like, bro, they come to you. They don't go, you don't go to them because they don't care. They just don't care. They don't. Jalen Hurts has a luxury of eating sacks and missing targets when he didn't have a top defense. He was turning the ball over as bad as if not worse than anyone else, which is true. When they up the volume, the turnovers increased massively. 23, and then the beginning of 24 was 30 turnovers. It's exactly true. Yes. No, he's not. He's a wannabe Eagle. Okay, let me see here. When you don't have 2,500 rushing yards, passing yards don't matter. Why? Dude, 2,500 rushing yards is about killing the clock. There is no question. If you give me a total 4,500 passing yards versus 2,500 rushing yards, I'll take the rushing yards every day. Why? Clock continues, never stops. You're eating up the game. The number one thing that a rushing attack does, it kills the clock. Passing game helps the clock. You ever notice passing games are longer than running games? You get two teams that run the ball and play great defense, that game's over in less than 3 hours. You get two teams that throw the ball a lot, that's a 3.5, 4 hour game. Because clock stops. And it continues to stop. I think this is good right here. Seals, I don't care what Jalen did before. He's working on his deficiency. So excited to see what this season brings. Go earn that contract. Absolutely true. That's really, listen, more than the numbers that dude ESP posts is what you're saying here, Twiz. Hey, dude, guy's working on throwing across the middle. Guy's working on checkdowns. Guy's working on doing this. And he's having a good camp. People are happy with what they're seeing. That's good shit, man. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, man. My point was accumulating yards are necessary, either combined from rushing and passing or just from passing, regardless. The best teams have a lot of yards coming from somewhere. Yeah, but to me, the efficient yards are the rushing yards. Because you're winning with you're winning killing the clock at the same dude, the number one thing on what you're trying to do as a football team every game, you're trying to win first and second down. Your offense is trying to be in third and short every single series and sequence in the series, and your defense wants to get off the football field. You can't – the Eagles a year ago were bad at both 3 and outs on both sides of the ball. You weren't – hey, as good of a defense as you were a year ago, you still weren't that hot on getting off the football field. Okay? All right, guys. John McMullen was out there at training camp. I appreciate you guys very much. Adam Kaplan tomorrow will be on the program. We will see you. Stay tuned for Birds 365. 2 to 6 tomorrow. Hit the like button. We'll see you on the flip side.